Well, hey, everyone. How's it going? Today was a busy day around here. So if you hadn't seen the video that I dropped a little while ago, went and got syrup from Charlotte. Yeah, the problem with the tote is if I put it on a trailer, then I don't have any way to get it off. So it's got to stay on the trailer, right? Because it'll be too heavy. So yeah, it's getting that way. So obviously I get syrup and I get it for Sam, Mr. Sam, and myself. And when I go up there and, you know, help him keep his costs down and my costs. So, you know, it was, I think I figured what, $290, right? 270 for the sugar, and then I put 40 in the tank, but I only used half. So about $20. So $290. And for what I say, let's see, I got my calculator out here. Let's clear that out. So 27 times 5 gallons is 135 gallons of 2-to-1. And we'll times that times 2 to make it 1-to-1. So 270 gallons. Divided by, let's do $290 divided by 270 gallons. $1.07 a gallon is what I ended up with gas, and you know, not equating time because I would have had to do something anyway, but so yeah, so $1.07 a gallon. And they will fill totes up. Now keep in mind, I'm paying $2 a gallon for 2-to-1, and then I dilute it down to 1-to-1, right? So, if you take a tote up there, they will fill it up at $2 a gallon. So if you got a, 100-gallon tote, you're going to pay $200 for it. And then you have to dilute it down. But I will tell you this, as long as you don't add water to it in the tote, if you don't add water until you're mixing it to put in the colonies, then you have no worries about it going bad, like spoiling or fermenting or anything like that, like you will with the feed once you mix it. Now, if you've got, bleach or apple cider vinegar or something added in it to prolong that health or that life on it, then, you know, that's a totally different topic. But yes, I cannot buy sugar for that amount, right? So to make 1-to-1, you need 24 pounds of sugar to 3 gallons of water. So basically a 25 pound bag to 3 gallons of water will fill up to roughly 5 gallons of 1-to-1 sugar syrup. So $307 for a 55-gallon drum. It seems to me it was a bit higher than that. Man Lake, unless they changed something. Pro Sweet. Let's see. Select size. 5 gallons. 140. 5-gallon pail of Pro Sweet on Man Lake's website is showing. Now, it might be different if you're getting it pumped from them, right? I don't live close to a Man Lake, but I'm seeing a 5-gallon pail at $115. So yeah, it'd be nice to be able to do that. And that's 50% sucrose. Let's see, 22% fructose, dextrose, moisture. It's basically like 3-to-1 probably. So I don't even see an option. You might have to get it in bulk. Where's bulk stuff? Feeding Pro Sweet. Can you get it in? Where's the bigger Pro Sweet amount? I know they usually, let me see if they have it on their bulk. They usually have a bulk thing, but they switched it to hives and components. I don't see it right now. They used to have a category that said bulk. You could buy it in bulk. Let's see. Stop screen share. There you go. Stop screen share. Oh, okay. Yeah, so technically what it is, guys, if you go get what I'm getting, so they send out the tankers of syrup, right? The big tank trucks to like restaurants or factories or whatever. And let's say they put 1,000 gallons in there, and they only use 900. Well, they got to bring that truck back, and then they pump that back out to the tank that I'm buying it out of. So it's like not the returns, but it's like the non-used that's come back on the truck. So, and let me see. Yeah, I mean, Pro Sweet is a sweetener. Pro Sweet is just a feed. I don't believe Pro Sweet has anything in it extra. It's just inverted sugars, right? But let me go. I'm sorry, guys. I need to drop the link here for anybody that wants to come in. No, I think it's just inverted sugar, and then you still got to add your supplements to it. And I know if you're, they will pump it if you're close to those guys, but I'm not closest. I was blessed to have found out about going to the factory there. So let me see. What Chris just said something. $865 for a 10-pound bag. So $865. That's 865 divided by 10 is 86 cents, right? And then you got to multiply that times 20, might as well say 25, because 25-pound bag. would be $21.63 for a bucket of 1-to-1, and I'm getting it for $5. So that's yeah, so that's kind of if I had a but don't you live like 15 miles from Man Lake, right? So that's the thing. I don't have a Man Lake. I don't have anybody that carries it in bulk. So I just go straight to Domino Sugar and buy it there. So 50 pounds of sugar at Man Lake's $35. So that's high. So at least for me, I mean, $1 a gallon for 1-to-1. Every time I feed a colony is $1, right? That's just going to end up being about $1. So I've got 16 of the 27 buckets I still have. So 16 times 5, some of you math guys, is 80. So I can make 160 gallons before I have to go back. 160 gallons of 1-to-1 sugar, which is about right. For I had to give Sam back a bucket, so I would have had 17, but I had to give him one that I paid for. But yeah, so that place is called ASR. I think it's American Sugar Refineries Domino. So if you do a search on American Sugar Refineries, you might be able to find a similar deal. Yeah, see, there you go, Phil. So you go up there. Luckily, these guys, like, I don't think Saturday is a normal work day for them. But when I call them and say, hey, I'm coming up there on Saturday. No, grafting tomorrow. I'm going to be grafting tomorrow. And I changed my setup. So if somebody, Charlie or somebody jumps in here, I'll be able to go grab it and show you guys what I got. I think I brought it in. Pretty sure I brought it inside. But so I'm not going to be using the Ceracell to graft this time. I did, however, buy a new grafting frame that is only as wide as this bottom piece. So it's like one piece, and it's got 3 bars that go in it. So I will be able to graft with that tomorrow. Honestly, I'm not. Oh yeah, we have drones, plenty of drones now, and drones hatching out every day. So by the time these queens are grafted, I'm really, some of my colonies, I'm just worried about, be honest with you. I mean, they're not doing good. They're just not doing good. There's a few of them that are doing good and a few of them that are doing just not good. So it might be a total reboot year for me, guys. It might just be suck it up and go ahead and do a do-over, man. Just salvage what I can with my colonies, requeen them. Can't wait for the nukes to get here that I bought, so I can get those started, and then just get the ball rolling. Unfortunately, the colonies that I've got, just some of them are just crazy, and I don't know if it's the Apiary. I'll say Beekeeper error, Jason. Primarily, I'm going to say weak splits. The constant fluctuation of temperature probably has a lot to do with it. So, and poor queens. I'll be honest with you, they were poor queens. I bought a lot of queens last year, and I wasn't that impressed with them. And we'll see how it goes. But it just, I've got different kinds of bees too. I've got Carniolans that it's my first year with Carnies, so they're doing something entirely different than my Italians. right? So it's my Italians look like they're world beaters right now, but now it's like I just need them. It's always I just need them to get a couple more weeks, right? And then we'll get in that flow where we got the pollen all the time, the warmth all the time. Like it was in the 70s and 80s all week. Today, 55. So it's like just one of those things. So tomorrow it's supposed to be 76, but cloudy. I'm grafting. That should be, the first step to recovery. Yeah. So, like I said, it's my first year with carnies, and they've kind of dwindled themselves down to almost like not much of a colony at all, which is kind of leading me to believe that that they still may not ramp up, because they're not going to lay more than the bees can cover. So we'll have to I'll have to see how it goes. Yeah, I'm trying to expand and get it going, guys. I did I took my honey out of cold storage yesterday, out of my freezer and I took it out of my freezer and refrigerator a few days ago when it was warm, and hung it in my uncapping tank, right? So give it a chance to acclimate to the weather, and extract it out about, I don't know, I'm going to say 60 to 70. Nah, it's got to be more like 70 to 80 pounds yesterday. It's a 5-gallon bucket, but if I put all the honey in one 5-gallon bucket, it would literally be all the way to the lid. So yeah, I'm just trying to get them right, guys. Just trying to get them right, and trying to avoid the mistakes that I made last year, and grow that way. Oh crap, I didn't pin the link. Sorry, guys. I dropped the link, but I didn't pin it. Now I'll pin it. Apologize. There you go. Now it's pinned. Sorry about that. So I sat down here. It was snowing there today? No way. It's 3 degrees. Hey, Lee. I tried to call you today. I got your voicemail. So maybe nobody will call me for Lee's number, because I can't even get him on the phone anymore. Come on in, Lee. Let's hang out. I got some new toys today. Yeah, it went to voicemail, but I didn't leave a message. I just hung up on it. Hung up on the voicemail. I got those 200 micron strainers. And I got the new grafting frame. So I'm going to be using the JZ cups that everybody's hyped on. I'm going to use those. I'm going to use the incubator after it's incubator time. And I'll probably just take the foam out of my little cell carrier and put that in my incubator, right? Well, it won't be long. I think I'm going to buy, and Jason would know something about this. Honey clarifiers. If you know a good one, I know you're going to say Man Lake. You're a Man Lake guy, or not a Man Lake, but a Maxant guy. And I'm looking to possibly get a honey clarifier, but it might be a few weeks before I get that. Let me see. I got drones all over here. I got drones all over. Hey, Lisa. I got drones walking around. I got drones out on the outside. Let me see. But it's just been wet and rainy today. Overcast here. And let me show y'all something. If I can pull it up. I still have it up. All right. So present screen. Entire screen. I don't know why it's flickering. Let me stop that. Try to present it again. It might not let me do it. Oh, now it will. All right, there you go. Let me take it off full screen. But this is a spreadsheet that James McNally sent me. And right here, it's got, like, you put in your grafting date. So if I would have grafted today, it would have been the 25th, right? And then it tells you what day of the week, the date, and what should be happening every day. When I need to go in and check the graphs, when to make up my mating nukes, when to transfer the queen cells. But instead of transferring queen cells to mating nukes, I'm going to transfer it to my incubator and work it that way. This also says when they should be out on mating flights. And then it says leave undisturbed for 12 days, check eggs for nuke for eggs. So larvae found, if so, queen is ready. Requeen if no eggs or larvae are found. Return to step 6. Boom. Transfer queen cells. Make more queen cells. I don't know how can I share it? James sent it to me. It's an Excel spreadsheet. And let me think how I can share that. If you send me an email, I could probably email you the spreadsheet. I don't think he may not mind that, since I didn't make it. All right, there's another one right there too that Phil's got very similar. But I think you can actually print that one out on the beeyard.org. This one is just on the computer. So if I, like, let me present it again. Sorry. Took it down. So if I, tomorrow's my grafting day, so I just changed the date in the box, right? 26, and hit the little check mark, and it updates the day everything needs to happen. So I've already had this starter colony set up. I actually shook more bees in it today because it didn't look, yeah, is it copyright? It might have copyright on it. I don't know. But but yeah, that's what I'm gonna follow, the spreadsheet here. And hey, Carl.
Hey, how you doing, Bob?
Pretty good. You doing all right?
I'm doing all right. First time I'm trying this, so I'm curious how it works out.
And there's Chris. Let me remove this spreadsheet. We can see each other. What's going on, Christopher?
Not much. I just stopped in. The phone's about to go out, so I figure I'd give you one person in here. Then I seen him pop in. I said, okay.
Now we got 2. We multiplied. That's good.
All right.
So, and now the cops are coming by. They're coming to get me. The bee police. But so I know what your weather's like, Chris. It's just like mine. What's your
miserable today?
Yeah, it is miserable today. What's yours like, Carl?
Well, I got about 20 degrees outside and 10-mile-an-hour winds.
Is it gonna?
We had about an inch of snow this morning, and it melted off during the day. But You know, the bees are having a little bit of tough time with this warm and cold up here, you know?
Our whole winter is like that. They can get out and fly, 3-4 days a week, and in 3 days they're it's too cold for them or raining or something. And now it's getting to the end of the stores for most of them, and it's time for them to be out there getting it. And probably in another week or two, I think we'll start getting that yellow cloud of pollen off of the pine trees.
Oh, I'm already getting that.
We're not going to see that for a while yet.
You think it'd be more than that, Chris?
Oh, I've already gotten all the yellow stuff all over my cars and all over the hives, and
I haven't gotten it yet.
The bees were out today. They were bringing pollen in, even though it was 55, 60 today, overcast.
It did. I mean, it was raining. I went up to Charlotte, but when I came back, it was all right. You
left early though, didn't you?
I left at 8:30 and went and got gas, and then I had to turn around and come back home, and then I got to leave again. But yeah, I got there about 11:45, and he got there right at 11 o'clock. Let me in the gate and filled me up, and I was out of there coming back home. So it was it wasn't bad, I don't have a Man Lake a couple miles from me there,
It works well, it's convenient for me because it's actually on my way home daily, so I pop in and out of the store here and there. But you could find deals. I mean, it's like everything you see online. Man Lake is expensive,
right?
But when you're bouncing in there, like right now, when I bounce into the store, they have clearance on boxes. Now they are budget grade. They're $13 a piece for the bigger box, but they allow you to pick through them in that. So you might go through 100 different sites in that to get out 20 good boxes, but you could walk out of there with 20 commercial boxes.
Yeah, that's not bad. I mean, the thing is, you don't get those if you don't live right there, right? You got to go to the store to get that kind of deal.
Yes, you have to go to the store because it's one of those things that they bring them out on the pallets, and I think that they're miscuts, a lot of them and stuff like that. You have to pick through them and stuff, but you can get deals. I mean, I'm very fortunate with being where I'm at because it's making the way I'm growing now. Right now, I'm set up that I can expand out to about 100 hives if I want to.
Oh, nice.
And over the last 4 years, I've been building up my brood frames and stuff like that. So I'm actually in a year where I'm looking to really go from I was up to 32 hives this past year. This year, I'm looking to possibly get up to 60 or 80 hives.
Nice.
That's good.
But I also work 60, 70 hours a week on top of it. Thank God my wife works the bees with me. So, I mean, we're growing slowly. We're using it to put some money away for our kids for college. And, we do pretty well all around, both of us working full time. So we're slowly building up a business, but it's not our number one thing, but we're slowly building a new business is what we're doing.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I wanted to be further along than I am. And, for whatever reason, I've just had setback after setback. And the only common denominator is me, right? Mistakes I've made. And some of them are very blatant that I've known I've done, right?
Yeah.
Making splits too early and stuff like that. And so yeah, I mean, I'll brunt that responsibility that I made the mistakes. But with that being said, I've still grown year after year, just not as fast as, like James McNally, 15 to 78, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I really enjoyed his talk the other night with you, and with the 6-frame nuke boxes, you can't buy them. I mean, it seems like you get online and that it's hard to find them. They're hard to find, and if you find them, you got to pay shipping and everything. You're going to pay out the wazoo for them. So
yeah, I ended up getting them. I got poly ones from Better Bee, the poly nuke boxes.
Yes.
And right now I like them. It's just I'm at that. Yeah, it is, and obviously I'm shipping it from New York to South Carolina, where you'd be New York to Pennsylvania. So it'd probably be a little bit cheaper for you to do that, but it's still, it's expensive.
Where you buying them at? Better Be?
Better Be, yeah. And
Yeah.
then Better Be also, the thing is, if you do that 3/6s like that, then you have to buy a 7/8 inch board for the 10 frame boxes, because your standard Langstroth box is only 3/4.
3/4.
It won't line up as
Well,
well.
what I've been doing is I've been buying those boxes that I'm telling you about that are $13 a piece, and I'm actually taking and cutting them down. I'm taking the end boards and I'm cutting down to about 10 7/8. So I'm real close to that 11 inch, and I'm cutting the two ends down, and then I'm taking one of the sidewalls and I'm cutting off the rabbet joints, and I'm putting them in between and gluing them, stapling them, and that. And they're solid. I mean, they're very solid and stuff. And that's what I'm working on now, is because I'd like to get into that nukes where I have those nukes on standby. I sort of did that last year. I went all the way up to about 36 hives, but by the end of the season, I dropped all the way back down to 22 because I took a bunch of them and requeened.
Right.
And so that I know coming out of winter now. Now I'm down to, I think we're down to 19 or 20 hives. We lost, I think, 2 or 3 through the winter. And we were in them one day this week, putting on some Hive Alive, the fondant that we bought out at the show.
Right.
And it's working very well. And we were in them, and they're pretty strong, most of them. So I'm thinking that if we keep after it for the next, we have another month until we get it out of this raw weather, you know? So
right.
I'm kind of jealous sitting here and listening to you talk about building up a,
the starter
queen rearing and stuff like that. You know, I've been working on that the last couple of years, and I had a little bit of success queen rearing, but this will be the third year we're trying it, and I'm very interested to see how you do. And the talk the other night with James and that about laying, the larvae in there and that, and not turning them and stuff like that,
Well, it's going to be interesting. It'll be my first attempt at it. Mainly, I don't feel that I've got enough bees in my cell starter.
Okay.
I thought I did at first, right? Because they were all over it. But it could have just been that it was cooler today and they were just kind of hunkered down. And, so I erred on the side of caution. I went in some of my bigger colonies and started shaking bees, right? Just shaking bees. And
it can't hurt. The
more the merrier.
Go back, that,
Yeah, I was just hoping that some more of that cap brood that I put in there had started to hatch out. If it would have started to hatch out, then it would have swelled the nurse bee numbers up. So,
well, I tried it 3 years ago. We started with we took a 6-frame Apiary hive pretty early in the spring here, and we shook a bunch of bees in, and we had a good amount of bees in. Me and my wife, my eyes are not as good as they should be. So both my wife and I, we tried a rack of 13 apiece.
right.
And first time we tried, I think we had 8 cells take between the two of us.
Hey, that's 8 more queens than you had.
Yeah, and my wife was better at it than I was, which I kind of figured because she could see a little better. And we tried it a second time and failed. The third time failed, and the fourth time failed. And that's when we realized that we had a virgin queen fly back into our apiary hive.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
So we just, and in Pennsylvania here, we have the short season where we can do it. We are already into July, and it was like, you know what? That we just turned it into a hive and went from there. Last year we used the cloak board, and with a real strong hive, and it worked pretty well for us.
Thing.
And it worked. It worked well for us. I mean, we got some turnout. So.
Well, I bought this crazy thing.
I tried it. I didn't like it.
Well, I don't know how to work with my real glasses on. See.
Yeah.
So I might have to take, and I can't see anything without my glasses anymore. I'm just getting to that age, I guess. So
I'm getting there myself.
I don't know if using one of these magnifying glasses with my glasses is a thing. Don't know. Haven't tried it. So I'm going to have to figure all this out before I go out there and graft tomorrow. And, James has been nice enough to say, hey, call me. We can go in the chat and I can walk you through it while you're doing it.
Oh, that's nice.
Okay, well, that's cool. We can try that. I think this is the one. Done.
Yeah, because that set comes with 4 or 5 different lenses you could try.
5, yeah, 5.
And it's pretty reasonable. I think it was only like $20-25. It wasn't that bad.
With the case, it was $29.
Yeah, I bought mine a couple years ago, so I mean it's not bad.
Rechargeable battery on it. So, we'll see. Actually, I think this might be the lens I need right there with my glasses. Oh yeah, that's the money. I can see my own DNA. This thing is crazy. But yeah, so it right now, if I can make some queens and requeen some of my crappy ones that are having a time right now,
yeah,
it may save a bunch of colonies. It's just figuring out. I pretty much grasp the concept of what needs to happen. It's just making it happen and being patient. And patience is not one of my strong points, with anything.
Well,
everything.
I'll tell you what, because like I said, my season's really a lot shorter than what you have there. So this year, I've been messing with the queen rearing. This will be my 3rd year, and I've already determined that I'm probably not going to do a lot of the grafting. I'm going to leave it to my wife, and I do have an 8-year-old daughter that is very intense and very involved.
Right.
And she has good eyes and very, the more steady you are too, the easier it's going to be. And just watching tons and tons of videos, a lot of these guys, even I think it's Paul out of Florida that does thousands of queens. He's got his teenage kids that are doing it. And
I can't even get my
steady. Yeah, I think it's the steady hand and the better eyes that makes it easy. And so my wife's going to do it, and we're gonna give my 8-year-old daughter a try and see how she does with it. Because she's so involved with it, and we're going to see how it works.
Any way you can get a young person involved and they enjoy doing it, where it's not a forced thing, not a chore. Hey, come do this with us; it'll be cool. And show if they can get involved with it later on, I'm sure even if they don't immediately gravitate to it, they'd be like, you know what, my daddy used to keep bees, and I want to keep some bees too.
Well, that's the idea, and we're doing it. Me and my wife are both doing this for the kids. Anything we make, we're putting away for
Charlie.
the kids, college fund and stuff. And hey, Charles, how you doing? And that's what we're using. Anything that we make off it, anything out of pocket's going. We're buying equipment that's coming out of pocket, but anything we make, 100% goes to the kids, pretty much. And she's very, very in tune with it. I mean, it's funny. You get an 8-year-old, she's out there in the hives and all of a sudden you open a hive and it's erupting. You've seen it.
Oh yeah.
They're not too happy. It's funny. She just turns and goes, "I'm out.
I'm out.
See you later." And walks away. And I had enough. So
at least she will get into a colony. Mine won't even. Mine show very little interest in it. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I started late. Me and my wife started late, so we have a 6-year-old boy too. Now he's a little more shy about it, but he's shown a little more interest this year. Now if I'm building boxes and stuff, the boy he's all over that. He wants to get that air nailer, and he wants to be right around me running the saw and stuff like that. But he's all around that. But when it comes to walking into the hives and stuff, he's like, I'm not quite into that yet. So we'll see over time now.
I can't even get my kids even 10 feet away from the hives.
Well, they've both been stung multiple times, so and they keep coming back. So I guess it's the Polish Slovak mentality that you just don't learn the first time. So they keep coming back. So
I must have really good bees because I haven't been stung yet. So I do suit up.
Here's the thing, Chris, is I'm in the north, so when I started this out, I did a lot of research, and a lot of people talk about the buckfast bees, how they work really well in the cold climate and stuff. So I brought in buckfast with Italians, and now I'm on the route now where I like the buckfast, but they are an aggressive bee. They can be aggressive. So we're in the process of breeding the buckfast out, but trying to keep some of their traits in there, because I do have good luck with the mites. I haven't had a ton of problems with the mites. So we're kind of like trying to blend it so that we have the Italian genealogy where it's calm.
Right.
Yeah, we can keep some of that buckfast in there, but the buckfast, they can. When you hear about stapling your pant legs down, well, you hit a hive and they're not in a good mood, they will chase you. I tell you what, we're sitting here on 100 acres, and I've already jumped on the golf cart and drove around 2 fields, and they were still chasing me.
Dang.
So I mean, I've pinched off like I said, we don't have a ton of hives, but I've already pinched off over the last 2 years a handful of queens, and trying to work that out of them. I don't want it completely out, but I also want a gentler bee, and I think this season we're going to be a little better than we were last season. It got better. This season is going to be a little better, and I think over the next couple seasons it's going to get better yet. So
yeah, my mentor that's been giving me a hand, he's gonna actually crossbreed his Russians with Italians and see what they get out of that.
I haven't had any Russians yet, but I hear good things about them. I mean, they're good.
He's telling me they're very aggressive. Yeah.
Yeah, they can be, but they're better in the colder climate too. But so far, the blend I'm getting this season was not as cold, and be walking out with 19 out of 23 or 22 hives. That's pretty good in my opinion.
I also have a philosophy: the more hives you have in a location, the more aggressive the bees are.
Okay.
So
yeah, that makes sense.
Because at least if you watch my videos, I've got them all like right there. And I think they're so used to defending their colonies against robbers and, the same forage and everything else that especially when there's very little nectar coming in, if you crack that hive open, they're a little bit more spicy, at least in my yard. That's usually the case. And
you see that in yours, Charlie?
What's that?
Do you see that happening in yours also?
No, not really.
But look at Charlie's place back there. I mean, Christ, he lives in in the land of
I'll
Oz
have
over
a
there.
hive that'll be kind of like, when they say aggressive, if I take the lid off and they're blowing up in my face, I've had one like that. I thought she was queenless, but she wasn't. And it was a queen that you need to get rid of and break that hive up into multiple hives and then requeen it. But I sit there and watch videos. I'm like, why are you smoking them? Because there's, I'll watch a video, I'm like, why are you smoking them? I'm like, they're not in your face, because smoke will agitate them. Yeah. People will go, oh, we're going to smoke the front of the hive. I'm like, why? I'm like, open up the darn hive. There's your, most people have an inner cover and the bees are there. Okay. You can tell they're kind of coming out and kind of sitting on the top of the inner cover looking at you. Then I just pop the inner cover off. Sometimes I peck the inner cover to let them drop back into the hive, or I always put my lid down, it's telescoping, and I turn it upside down to catch the bees. And then I put my inner cover cattywampus there, so it doesn't smash anybody.
See, that's what
I look at the bees on top of the the frames, and I'm like, okay, everything's fine. Now, if I'm trying to get into there and they're where I want to put my hive to, I'll kind of puff them a little smoke there. Just, instead of puffing down into it, I actually puff it across if the smoker's going good and that kind of stuff. And then I just work them like that. Now, there's what you call a grafting frame. Yeah, that's what you need done there.
I purchased
and let me see your bars there. That's what you want. All there. That's a real grafting frame.
So,
Charlie, you guys were talking about that how it has it comes out on the sides.
Can you check your mic, Carl? Is your mic in your computer or?
Yeah, it's in my computer. Turn it down
Crackling.
some?
You're crackling and
well,
breaking
it's
up.
popping or doing something. I'm not sure. You're
So
kind
I
of
thought
like,
it was my earbud.
Is that better?
No,
now?
it's
I turned
not.
it down some.
Yeah, it's not doing it now.
go ahead, Carl.
I turned it down some. Is that better?
It's a little bit better. You can turn it back up. I can turn you up.
Now, how's that now?
All right, go ahead and talk.
That a little better now?
Yeah, a little bit. It's still got some crunchy behind it or something. I'm not sure.
It's all
Okay.
good.
But anyway, go ahead, Carl.
You were talking about that the other day about how to grind down the sides so it's flat down there. What's the reason?
That's
for
right.
that?
To keep
Yeah.
from them burning up between the cells.
Okay.
You'll
Because
have
I've had
that.
issues
You'll
with
have
that.
that cross comb, between cell to cell.
Yes.
That'll alleviate that.
So
Almost 100%.
So
Yeah.
this frame has dog ears on it, right?
Yes, I see that. Yep.
And this frame does not.
No problem. I'll be
And if
grinding
you
mine
watch,
down.
you watch Ian Stepler up there. I've watched him, and he was pulling a frame up, and I stopped the video, and everything is narrow. It's like Bob did, like I told him to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, what that does is, think about it. It's B space. If it's a quarter of an inch or wider, what do? They put burr comb in. If it's less than an eighth of an inch, then they propolize it. So now you've corrected the B space because you have a cell bar that there's nothing there, right? There's no foundation or nothing. There's no comb. If the comb was built, if you have two frames and you got a comb frame here and here, the shoulders keep the B space. So two bees can walk back.
I completely understand it now. Yep.
So when you take those ears off, they only have bee space if they don't build comb in there.
Yeah. Now I see. I understand.
So now
exactly what you're
when you
talking
put the
about.
grafting frame in, you've got all this open space in there because of the shoulders. Grind the shoulders off. Now your nectar frame that's on the one side and your pollen frame that's on the other is closer. It's more correct bee space, and they'll put little to no burr comb in there. Now, what I do once after day 6, now I count my days as the day I put the graft in.
Okay.
The day now your voice is sounding good now. That I graft on grafting day, that is day 1. 6 days later, if I graft on a Wednesday, Monday is my 6th day. Those things will be capped, and they won't have any burr comb. Now, if you leave them on in there for another 5 or 6 days, you run the risk of capping. That's where I pull that graft out. I very gently take that graft. I brush the bees off. Now, something else I'm going to try. I seen another guy. He had a little battery pack leaf blower, a little small one,
Like the one for a car.
huh?
Like the little vacuum or blower for a car, right?
Well, my son gave me his to borrow. It's a Milwaukee. It's a small one. It's just enough. It's about like having a blower that's about as powerful as a broom. You might want to blow a little dust off he was using to blow some stuff off the wagons. But anyway, you can blow the bees off your frame instead of trying to brush them cells off. I'm like, I'm going to have to try. I have to try that to see whether I like it or not. But get yourself, you're right there at Man Lake. You get that $12 brush that they got, that premium brush.
Yes. Yes.
Get the premium. Don't get that junk $6 brush. It's got those plastic bristles.
I bought one of them today, horsehair brush.
You want a horsehair brush. You want
something.
something. You want a brush that the bristles are really soft, and then you want to brush down the length of those cells, and then of course across the top, get the bees off. You want to try to get the bees off. Then I have a hand towel, you use in the bathroom, and just drape that over that cell. Keeps the bees off of them. Take it on into your house where your incubator is. I don't know whether you have probably an egg incubator.
No, I haven't gotten to that point where I'm using incubator. I've just been
you want to check my videos out. I've got one in there. What I do is I had a guy give me a used refrigerator, a regular upright.
Yep.
refrigerator at the bottom, and then you got the top box is your freezer. The top freezer is my incubator.
Yeah, it's not huge. What are you just using, a light bulb with a?
I use a heat lamp, white heat lamp. I use an Inkbird temperature controller. Feed the wires through the hinge side of the door.
Yep.
I have enough space in there. I can either I have a medium frame for cells, or I can use my deep. I put a deep nuke box in there. And first what I do is I bring the box out, put the frame in there, hang it, and then step it into the, set it in the side, the freezer hole box. And then I usually put a couple pieces of wood down that more like feet, so the air can circulate underneath of that box and get around themselves. Yeah. And I have a little fan, 4 inches or so. It blows all the time. I had a little meat tray that you buy lunch meat.
Yeah, little Newton fan like you would have in a bathroom or something like that.
Yeah, whatever. Well, the fan I got, it looked like a little miniature fan that you put on your desk. Kind of blows at your face.
Okay, yeah.
Nothing, or a computer fan or something like that. Something's just enough to circulate the air. And then I had a little tray there, a plastic tray. I pull it full. It'll hold a Coke bottle worth of water, 16 ounces. And that keeps the humidity in the high thing. I keep it at 90. I think it's 93 degrees. It's either 92 or 93. And and that's plus or minus a degree. And and that you can set it up and it'll hold it at that point in time. Put it in there. Day 6, I pull that out, put it in the incubator. And then the next day would be day 1. So 5 days after that, I normally take those cells out, put them in a 2-frame mating box, and a day and a half or so they'll hatch out.
Okay, so you don't hatch them out in the incubator,
I am going to do that this year.
Okay.
I took Brad's advice from up in Manitoba, Canada, and I am going to hatch them out as virgins. I'm going to take and mark them while they're there at the incubator, which is a whole lot easier. And then I'm going to let her walk right into that 2-frame mating box.
All right, because this year's the first year I'm trying. I actually ordered 10 queens from Corey Stevens. And I'm going to try the virgin.
Are they breeder queens or something or what?
No, they're not breeders. I don't have that kind of money.
That's what I thought. I didn't know whether he sell cheap queens or not.
Nah, well, I think they weren't bad though. 10 queens was, I think they were $30 a pop, and with the shipping and that, they come out to like $34 a piece or something.
That's not bad.
It's not bad at all, and I'm going to try it because I don't know if you're in yet, but like I was saying, I want to try and get a little of this Buckfast out of mine, but still keep some in there. And I thought that this would be a good opportunity to try Corey Stevens. And with the short season I have here, I'm working on the queen grafting, but at the same point, this is a way for me to speed up the procedure.
That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm trying to mate, but once the queen cells become available at the breeder, then I'm gonna go get queen cells.
Yeah, but you have a lot longer season down there than I do, So
my season's the same as yours, I'm sure.
Well, you're down in Maryland, so you probably have a whole other month compared to me.
Far as queen rearing in May, June, and July.
May, June, and July. See, May.
And what's your nectar flow? April, May, and June. It's
May and June. It's May and June. Really, April. There's really nothing in April. May is kind of touchy for queen rearing for me. It all by the year. We could have a May that I could start in the beginning of May trying, and then I have another May where it might be the 3rd week of May before I can even really try because I have some really cold nights and stuff like that and make it really tough on me,
Yeah, you're up there in the mountains.
Yes, exactly. I'm just right on that edge. If I was 40 miles south, I'd probably be right in the same category you are, but I'm just up in the mountains. I'm actually in the Pocono Mountains, you might as well say. I'm right on the edge of the Pocono Mountains. So I could be hit or miss with that May thing,
Right.
So, but and April's whole nother story. So
Yeah, I don't think April's very good for us, but last year it rained every weekend. And it was like I could never get out there to do anything. And I didn't really raise a lot of queens because of that.
yeah,
I consider myself a weekend beekeeper. I mean, everybody is when they got a day job. It's the only time you can do it, unless you got work nights and you still got to sleep.
So, Charlie, remember that frame you guys said, take out that foundationless cone and let them draw, and I just put them in, right? Just put it in yesterday, right?
Yeah.
So,
I see some wax there.
well, I blow them out of the way.
Look at that.
beautiful.
24 hours. They're getting to work.
That's right. And what I'm getting at is that what do you call it?
And that was not re-waxed. That was just out of the box. I didn't put any more wax on that comb.
And
No,
that's
but
your
what you
breeder
got to
quality.
what you got to think about, Bob, is that you're trying to grow and you're trying to grow sort of a more of a sideline or commercial style. And the folks who do the natural comb, I guess you'd call it, that's fine. But you got to remember what you're trying to do. You need that foundation in there and all. And I tell you, when you put your you set that cell builder up, put a frame of foundation in there when you're doing the cells, because they will, when you're feeding them and all that, you got all them wax bees in there, they will draw that frame out in a week.
That's my cell builder that I'm showing there.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
that's
a good
good.
one.
So I just wish more of that cat brood would start popping their little asses out of
Well,
there, blow
the
it up
thing-
a little bit more.
Right. I understand what you're saying. It's the same situation where just keep adding that stuff to it, while you're doing the cells. But now
I
every
shipped more
time-
bees in it today as insurance. I'm like, I don't know if it's got enough.
yeah, that's
shake.
good.
Probably
Yeah.
3 or 4 more frames in there.
If they got to be overflowing out the front and out the top.
Yeah, it's not that.
Well, then,
And I don't really have. That's what I'm saying is my colonies don't have. I've shaken so many now that they don't. It's like they don't have them to put in there. So
well,
Bob, did you decide how many you're going to try and graft the first time?
I think I'm gonna do 20.
just
try
do
to grab
20.
And
Do
if I
20.
get 3, I'm happy. Actually, if I get one, here's the queen cells they were starting. I was gonna put this video out, but if you guys are, I don't think they can hear it, but they might be able to. But yeah, I'm trying to make chicken salad out of chicken shit right now, unfortunately.
Like I say, if you can get 10 out of the 20 or 15 out of the 20, you're ahead of the game. Even 5 out of the 20.
Well, I checked that mated queen, the first queen, that box, didn't see her in there. So I didn't see her today when I went in there. So she may have flown off, and maybe she wasn't mated. Maybe she flew off to get mated and didn't come back, got caught in the storm. Maybe she was just hiding in the corner somewhere. I don't know, but I didn't see her.
Just leave her alone.
So, well, I'm trying. If she'll start laying, I'll move that whole damn thing off the top of my other colony. That's kind of the goal. Is I want to get her moved.
Right.
Charlie, I was just thinking about something. You were saying that you were going to let your queens hatch out, and then you were going to actually mark them and then drop them into your 2-frame nukes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering how that would work, if that would affect her going out on her mating flight being marked.
I've often thought about that too myself, but I know that Richard Knoll over in Brittany, France does it. Brad Hall up there at Faith Apiaries does it. So, I mean, if they're commercial guys and they're doing it, it's a lot easier when you only got one bug to deal with instead of a whole damn nest of them.
But she's
I'm gonna try it. It's gonna save me a ton of time
later on.
Yeah, because if you put a cell in there, then curiosity gets in the way, and you run out there after work, and then you start looking to see whether the cell was hatched, let's say 3 days later.
I would never do that.
Yeah.
On that box.
And then you're sitting there. Well, where's the virgin at? Where's the virgin? Oh, there she is. Or then you couldn't find her or
Then
whatever.
they ball her.
And then they ball her because you disturb the nest and I don't know whether it's the air, the temperature, or what, or maybe the pheromones. Most likely, probably the pheromones is what some people have told me. Then she goes out, she gets mated. Let's say I'm going to sell the queen. Well, they all want you to mark her. And so I don't charge any extra. $40 a queen, and there it is. And so then you got to grab her and put her in the cage, and you got to mark her, then get her in the cage. Then you got to go out there and try to, take attendance and not get stung. And that's a real feat in itself. Grabbing. How do you go down there and grab, worker
individuals?
bees. Yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm going to mark her. She's going to be a virgin, and I'll
There's
sell.
an easy way to do that. And I
sell virgin queens.
So you put her in the JZBZ cage, and on the bottom of the JZBZ cage, there's a little pop-out piece.
Yeah, the introduction bar.
Well, you can pop that little centerpiece out, and worker bees will go in to take care of her, and then you pull it out and you put a little piece of tape over the top of it.
Yeah, but it's still trying to pin a donkey on the ass. You must say.
Yeah.
It's not an easy task either way. I mean,
I'll tell you what, Bob. I'll try that.
Mark says every time you open that box, you lost 25% odds of her coming back mated.
There you go.
Well, the longer you're doing it, the easier it is to keep the box closed.
And the more you have,
the
less you're going to get back into those, right? So,
yes.
Well, I look at it this way: if I take that virgin and I walk her in after she hatches, then I'm not going to, it's like, all right, I already know I got a queen in there. I already know it takes about 2 weeks for her to go out and mate and get laying really good. So I will leave her alone for 2 weeks because the curiosity is, I don't have to worry of satisfying. Do I have a queen? I know I have a queen. It's like, all right, I got to wait for her to get, you got to wait for her wings to get hard, her exoskeleton to get hard. And in the meantime, that first 4 to 5 days, her ovaries and stuff develop so she can lay eggs and stuff. And then she goes out and flies. So that's,
Yeah, that 14 days, though, it's tough to sit back and wait those 14 days, though, when you have that situation.
And meanwhile, the colony that you're going to queen is dwindling and dwindling and dwindling. And you're like, shit, what am I going to do?
Yeah, well, I mean, it depends on whether you actually, if you have a colony and it doesn't have a queen, well, guess what? I'm not putting in a mating nuke. I'll put that girl right in that colony.
Right.
Mating boxes, like for me, all right, I got a bunch of nukes. I'm going to sell a bunch of nukes this year. I got them sold out. I got 10 of them. I got 4 nukes there that are my insurance. I'll put it this way if there's a problem with the others. Anyway, I will put another batch of 20 across the frame or my hive stands, and I'll put those 2 framers where I need 5 framers, and I'll grow them from 2 to 5. When I get 2 is really going good, I'll switch them over to another box.
So the beauty of this frame, Charlie, is when I take these out to move them to the incubator, I can move these in with more grafts on them. Hypothetically, I haven't tried it, but it should fit.
Sure. If you take it out and you put those bars, if you set up some kind of holding mechanism in your incubator, because you got a chicken incubator.
Yep, but what I'm going to do is once I remove the bars and replace the grafts, and let me get another gadget, my gadget box here, my inspector gadget box.
Yeah, come on, Lee.
He's getting there.
My dealy do here. I'm going to take the foam out of this box and put the cells directly in the incubator in here. right? So the JZBZ cup will sit right down in here with the queen cell.
Now,
warm.
if can you, all right, you got your JZBZ cell bars there.
Yep, I've got the cups.
Let's see now. You can't put those cages on them, can you?
No. The cage.
Have you got a drill press and a Forstner bit or a wood drill, paddle bit?
I've got a paddle bit, drill. I don't have
widen those a little bit.
Huh?
I don't have a drill press, but I've got all the size bits that I probably could ever want.
Well, if you make a block of wood and space them out where you can take them cages and put them down into the wood to hold them upright, and then put your JZBZ cells in the top of them, and then set that block of wood with those cages in them inside your incubator.
Like Mark had on there the other day.
I don't know. I haven't. Yeah, I get. Well, that's a little different. It's the same principle, but what I'm saying is put a hole big enough to hold your cage.
The roller cage.
The roller cage. Put the roller cage in. Put the cell in the top of the roller cage, and put the roller cage into a block of wood that's got a hole big enough to hold it. That's what I do. That's what I made.
Well, these roller cages, if it's flat, will stand on their
they're gonna fall. They're gonna fall over. Guarantee you.
Oh,
unless you got to make something to hold them. Another thing you could possibly do is this: take a board, let's say 4 inches wide, put a 2x4 on either end, or some type of, let's say a 3/4 inch board.
right.
So you got a U, and then and make the board, kind of space it out with those cages. And put if you got some real thin wood or something that's stiff, like a fence, and you have a elongated board like that, and you have a fence set of rails going on both sides, and then all you have to do is put them in down the line, and they'll hold up. They'll stand straight up. They won't fall over. You can actually bring this whole thing and stick it right in your incubator. Understand?
Yeah, I could take just a piece of scrap wood. Well,
yeah, scrap wood. Yeah, anything.
And
if you got a thin piece, let's say 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 inch thick,
just
1/4 inch thick,
they hatch right into the cage. Well, right. They will not do that with JZBZ though, because the JZBZ.
That's what I'm trying to tell you, is that you take the cage standing straight up, you put your JZB cup down in the hole, but you put the cage in a rack, and you put them all in a line,
right?
And so they'll keep them straight from falling over. And then you might, if you have a real narrow board, then put a set of feet going the opposite direction on either end, and they'll stay, the cage or the rack, I guess you would call it,
stay upright.
Not stay upright and not tip over. Exactly.
And so that's going to be I'll have 9 days to figure that piece out.
It's like I say, just take a board, and I think that's what I would do. I would take a board a little wider than the cage, and put a board on, whatever the width is. Let's say it's 1.25 inches wide, whatever them cages are. Make a board, it's 1.25 inches wide, whatever the length you can get it. Figure out how many of them things can fit in there. And then put the 3/4 inch board up on its, on the end, nail it on the end or screw it in. So now you got like a U-shaped board. and then put a 1/4 inch piece. Take a board and on your table saw it off the edge of your board, a 1/4 inch strip, and then put that on the side on both sides. Now you got a fence rail there. Now you can stick your darn cages in, and then on each end put another little board on that you can screw to the bottom of that board crossways as basically a foot, so it doesn't, it won't go this way. And then you can just set that thing in there into your incubator. I know it's got that dome roof on it.
Well, mine's not round. Mine's like square.
It's square, but the roof is not flat. It goes up on a curve and around like this.
Yep.
So you got the height to be able to do that. And you can make a couple racks. It wouldn't take you a half hour to do it.
Just something to keep them stable from.
Yeah, I mean, if this is your cage, you want to be able to. There we go. You want to be able to hold it straight up, but you want a bunch of them in a line.
Right.
So if you had a board on the bottom, whatever the width, a little bit wider than this, and then put a 3/4 inch by 1/4 inch strip along the side, going from the end board to the other end board, and make like a fence rail on both sides. Now you can set let's say you make it enough that you can set 10 of them in there. And you make 2 of those, you can get 20 in there in your incubator. And they're all in the cage. And then when they hatch out, they're in the cage. You've got, they're not going to kill each other.
Well, is the okay, so let's go back to the starter finisher deal.
Okay.
So I've got some nectar, I've got some pollen. I want my graft to be right in between those two.
Yep.
And then will the nurse bees leave the brood that's in there, the cap brood, to come over and make those cells? Or
no,
I've got extra bees, but it's not
got extra bees in there, and they're not gonna.
Well, they're queenless. They're queenless, so they're going to be looking to make a new queen. So I mean,
yeah, they're going to go over there and work on that jelly.
Yeah, they're going to go after it.
Their big thing is making jelly, make that cocoon. Yeah, they're going to keep that other brood warm. It's generating their own heat too out of that cat brood.
So I've got 6 frames in there. My plan was to pull out the one they're working on with wax, but you say leave that in there.
Leave it in there, yeah.
So which frame do I take out?
Whatever one's in the middle there. What do you got? You got the one on the wax, so that's going to be where you're going to put your graft in. Take that one out. You got a 6-frame nuke there, right?
Right.
The only other thing I'm thinking is you need to feed them some juice.
I got the top feeder on it, and
I've got an Apiary.
No, I've got a Lyson poly nuke.
Almost the same, in a little bit of the same way. So you got the top feeder in that, and you're gonna have your pollen patty, and you're gonna have your frames in that.
All right. Did you take and go out there and measure the distance between the bottom of that feeder and the top of them frames?
No, I took it up. Well, I brought the one in here last night. It's about a quarter of an inch, maybe.
Okay, it's got bee space in here.
It's out there now with feed in it. So
right.
But it's
you need to take a pollen patty. If you can make a pollen patty up with some Apis biologic.
We got it out there, isn't it? It's in it right now.
So it's underneath the feeder.
Mm-hmm.
So you rolled it out with a rolling pin or something?
Yeah, I didn't put as much as I would normally put in the bag, so it would be a little bit thinner.
Bag?
Charlie, where you been all year? I put my pollen sub in sandwich bags so hive beetles don't get it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, you got them hive beetles down there, and you need to start spraying the ground with that stuff.
Well,
Bugman, what's the stuff that you're supposed to know because you're a bug man too? But what's that stuff called?
He's the bug man. I'm the salesman. He knows more about bugs than I'll ever know.
He's been doing it for 19 years.
What's that? What's the stuff for the hive beetles called? You get it.
All right. You want the grub? You want the grub? Grub be gone or grub bait?
The triazicide or whatever.
Well, you want to get the one that doesn't say anything with granules. like grain. You want it that because that's just going to attract more beetles, and your
What do you
bees
want?
will go down there to get into it too sometimes.
So you want to spray?
No, you want the granules, but it doesn't have to get the one that doesn't say grain is in the ingredients.
Okay.
So like Grubex or something like that.
Right, but it shouldn't say anything with grain, made with grain, because it does attract your bees.
All right.
Hey guys,
All
I gotta take off because I gotta go get my kids.
All right,
So
Carl.
thanks for having me in the chat room, and
Yeah,
thanks
Carl.
for the information.
And,
And Bob,
come on
keep
out.
us on how you're going.
Yeah, I mean, I know you're on mine on Friday nights. Just come on in too. It's always good to talk.
Yeah.
My phone's about dead myself.
The more info, the better it is, in my opinion. You know, I learned one or two things here tonight already, so I mean, it doesn't hurt. The more you talk with more experienced people, I think the more you'll learn. You know. So,
Well, it's it's like I just figured out the frame thing. Well, I knew about it, but I never tried it, about grinding the ears off until last year, because the first graft that I had some burr coming within 6 days.
yeah.
And I'm like, what up? I tried, you take a darn X-Acto knife and try to cut
it's
that
pain.
off, and you'll bust them every time. And, there goes 6 or 7 days worth of work,
Yeah, and if you only get 6 of them and you break 2 of them, you're ticked off,
it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And so anyway, grind that off like he's got it. It reduces the bee space, the more of a correct way. I'm online.
Excuse me a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be over for him. All right, bye. All right, thanks. Bye.
The secret is finding more experienced people.
But anyway,
yeah. No, that was great info.
That's what I like about this live chat is we can discuss technique. Everybody, like we had Chuck on here Friday night, last night, about how he sets up a cell builder finisher. It's different than other people do. So you try it's an experiment. Science, it's beekeeping's a big science experiment that never quits.
No, when you explain why, I mean, it makes perfect sense. As soon as
but the thing of it is, you're not going to find it in any book.
Nope. And as soon as
you're not going to find, a couple beekeepers might tell you about it, or if they are experienced beekeepers, they have forgot about it while they either did it or whatever. We'll see you later.
Yeah. Go. Thanks, guys.
All right. Still there, Charlie?
Yeah, I'm here.
Just two old timers again.
I don't know about old. I don't feel old.
I do. I feel old. I'm trying to send Daniel Garrison this spreadsheet. It should be in my downloads. There it is. Downloads.
You can do that, or the one I gave you, which was the bee.
The printable one.
The bee yard. The printable one, it's the same concept as that. Tells you about the same things.
Well, I'm excited. I'm hopefully optimistic on this year, but right now I'm not real happy with my colonies. I'll just say that. So hopefully they turn this franchise.
Well, you've been feeding in your area, right? As far as feed goes, biologic and all that.
Yeah, I really haven't fed much lately. I did put out some the other day, and then guess what? It rained. So who knows? They'll probably still be all over it tomorrow with a minute amount of sugar. And I know you like to do open feeding, but personally, I think you should go back to individualized hives. Make sure it gets into that hive directly. Well, and the ones that had like my poly hives all have it on the top. And
I think you'll find that those hives are the ones that are going to explode because they can get it any time of the day. They don't have to, they can get it day and night.
Right.
And any kind of weather. And then you'll find that when there's a good flow that they won't take it.
Right.
that'll give you an indicator.
Well, that's what I've been having with the open feed, right? For a while, they weren't even interested at all. And then when that shuts off, or a day after the rain when there's really not much, they'll hit it. And I know for a fact they're going to be all in the back of my pickup truck tomorrow because I got syrup all over the bed of that thing. So it's there's definitely a ton of ways to do things for sure. And I just feel like this year is it's almost like in sports, right? They call it a rebuilding year.
Yeah, what it is.
And
let's listen to, was it Carl? Listen to what he said. He's been working on it for so many years, and that's where you're at, is that you need to take this year as a building year. You're going to get some honey, but you need to build wax and you need to build hives and multiple.
Right now I have
and splits.
Almost as many deep boxes of drawn comb as I do existing colonies. So
that's good, because now you got comb for them to work off. When you make a split with a queen, they don't have to build any wax.
She can get the laying. She can get the laying.
She can get the laying. She'll make up a strong hive quicker.
And you can still give them a
if you want to, if anything, put another box on top with a bunch of foundation and let them build and feed. And, they'll either take it or they won't take it.
Yeah, it could be a little bit early still. Last year, a month ago, I had already made splits in January. I made them at the end of January, remember?
Oh, last year.
Yeah, last year. And I really haven't split anything. The only things that I've split have been ones that had queen cells in them, like swarm cells, that I did over the double screen board. Nothing else has been split. So,
well, I haven't, it's been cold here. It's 32 degrees. It was miserably cold today. And we had 72 degrees Thursday. Then it was in the 40s or whatever the next day, 40s or 50s. And today it was in the 30, it was 32, and it was that cold, wet air. We actually flurried snow today. And that was the first snow I think we've seen all this year. It's a big roller coaster ride up here when it comes to weather. I mean, I could have, you wanted to get into your bees and break into the boxes Thursday, and I didn't have time to get out there while it was nice during the day,
right,
because of work. So I wound up at 4:30 in the evening. Went out there, checked my nukes. I put the last of my fondant on that I had that I wanted to get rid of. Went up and checked a friend of mine's. He's brand new at it. He had 5 hives. He had 4 living and 1 dead. And he was checking frame prices, and he's like me, we're busy. So I don't buy the wooden frames. I don't have time to sit there and build frames. I want all plastic, take them out of the box and put them in the box, and I'm done.
Right. Well, I've still got a case and a half of deeps and a case and a half of mediums. So I've got 100 medium frames. I can 10 more supers on top of the supers I've already got of frames. And hopefully this week coming up,
I think you got enough frames to get through what you're trying to do, because now you're telling me you got boxes full of drawn comb. Well, use the drawn comb in the brood chamber area. And then if you're doing more deeps, I'd put another deep on top with foundation. See if you can get them to draw it out. And I put a feeder on top, at least a jar feeder. See if you can get them to pull that wax faster, especially in the springtime. And
well, I mean, Sam's got his issues over there too. You just don't see him on video all the time.
Was that the old guy that's seen on your video today?
Yeah, that's my mentor, Sam. He's got a YouTube channel. He's actually got enough subs to be monetized, but I was talking to him today about getting that turned on for him.
Don't you have to You have to have a bank account for that to automatically to go into or something.
Yep. And well, it goes into your AdSense account, and then it gets deposited over to your bank account. You got to put on there.
Do you usually have a bank account that's just separate for that?
No, I don't get paid out enough that often, so it's every few months.
I'm looking at people trying to get into your bank account. You know how that goes these days.
Yeah, I do. But luckily nobody's gotten in there and messed with that part of it. But yeah, I mean, Mr. Sam does things a little bit. He's old school. He does things old school. There's nothing wrong with the way he does it. I'm trying to modernize him a little bit. Even, he does a lot of, I guess what you would call walkaways, right? Make a split, put a queen cell in, or make a split, give them some eggs and let them make some queen cells. That's all great if you got time. It's not great if you're trying to.
But that's not the best queen, as they say. I don't know what her Mark Air Sourwood. They look how he draw. I've seen that too in my nukes where they have maybe the cell wall might be 1/8 of an inch tall, and she's got an egg laid in every one of them.
The egg is standing up taller than the cell walls.
Yeah. And they got to build the wax up around it to get going,
Well, tomorrow, it's supposed to be 76 here with a low of 56. So that's plenty warm enough.
What's the next 6-7 days like? The same type of weather?
Should be. Yep. Let me double check. Sunday was, this is saying, well, Monday is 76 and 60, Tuesday 78 and 53, Wednesday 77, 62. Thursday is supposed to thunderstorm, Friday 73, and then we get that crazy day on Saturday where it's 59 and 39, what they're calling. And then Sunday 64 and 43.
So let's see, you need 6 days there. You're going to graft on Sunday, right?
Grafted on Sunday, so I should check them on Wednesday, and it'll be 77. Right? 3 days.
And then
leave them alone until Friday.
That'll be 6 days.
Cells should be capped on Friday. Friday it's supposed to be 73 and 40, but rain.
Just go out there with umbrellas, all I can tell you.
Suck it up. Rub some dirt in it. Let's go.
Well,
so it's going to be, I mean, the whole process is interesting for me. So,
it's like Alan's or,
So just as long
as it's 50 or better at night. And he's right. Exactly.
Well, the only day it's not, Friday or Saturday, it's saying that it's going to be 40 and 39.
That's not good.
But it'll be capped by then.
Should be capped by then. It should be in your incubator by then.
Yep. So it'll be a nice 93 degrees in my incubator with whatever humidity it makes it. So, and I've seen Michael Palmer, a video where he's grafting cells in the snow.
I don't know about that, but
well,
for your situation and your experience, which is zero, I think you got the right kind of weather to do it, and I think you're going to be successful. It's not that hard, and as far as like James talking about rolling it, when you go with that Chinese grafting tool, you're going into there, you're picking up the larvae on top of the jelly, and then you're scooting the larvae or the jelly off with the larvae on top onto the center of that JZBZ cup. Just take your time doing it. And you're not going to flip it or nothing like that.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm really not too worried about that actual grafting part. It's not the grafting. The grafting part is not that difficult, from what I understand. The difficult part is getting your cell starter set up correctly, getting your timing correctly. You know, that's the most important part. If you, even if you get one that's slightly older than you should, doesn't mean they won't put a cell on it. She just won't be any good, right? So, I mean, you know, there's some room for error where they would still make a queen, but it just may not be as good a queen.
Just fine. And then another thing I was going to tell you about it, you know, you're depending on that light on that headset. And I'm going to tell you right now, that light is not bright enough. I got the same.
I got 1,000 lumen flashlight.
That's what you want. Let me tell you something. You're going to want you want the flashlight in your left hand. If you're right-handed and you want your pen in your right hand. And I don't know, have you got an easel or some sort?
Well, what I've got is my uncapping tank has a metal rack that sits on there. So I was thinking about laying my frame on there, going in my honey house with my lights and grafting in the honey.
You don't want a lot of bright light. You want it normal light, but it, you know, dimmish.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to use that flashlight to brighten things. You want it to illuminate that larvae and make it glisten in there.
Right.
And then go in there. Yeah, like he said about the sea. It's like the guy what's his name? Kent Williams taught me how to graft. I asked him, I said, okay, everybody talks about the C. It's got to be in a C shape. Let's see how we got this. Like that.
You want it more like a comma.
Yeah, it's got to be more like a comma. But you know what he told me? He said, look, it's alive. It's going to move. It's not, you know, it can be anything. It can be any kind of shape. It's just got to be young enough. It's going to be more like a comma. And the best way I can describe it is you go in there to find. Have you looked around for your grafting frame yet?
I know which colony I'm grabbing it out of.
Because I usually find one that I think I really like, and I'll put a little Sharpie X mark actually where the position of the frame is, and oh, there it is, you know. And I'll go to that hive and I'll pull it up. And usually you'll have an area there it's just full of royal jelly, but you can't see anything but the jelly with your normal glasses. If you only can see jelly, you know you got the right age. They don't put jelly in the holes unless there's a larvae in there.
Right.
And then I use.
Well, that's not necessarily true, Charlie. Don't they, when you've seen a queen cup with no larva in it, but yet they start priming it with some jelly first, right?
Oh, it's in there. If that jelly is in there, they don't put jelly in there just to put jelly in there. It's there. You can't. That's what I'm saying. You can't see it with the naked eye. It's that side of microscopic. I got these glasses right here. These are my normal everyday glasses. They're bifocals.
Right.
All right. I take them off. I wear the ones I got right now. These are basically reader glasses, which are the bottom half of those bifocals.
Right.
So I put them on. They're like, you know, like you go to the grocery or,
well, these are pretty thick. Well,
are they bifocals or are you?
Yeah, they're bifocal, progressive bifocals. So,
well, can you find yourself a pair of reader glasses at the drugstore?
Maybe. I got those other things now too, the magnifying ones. So
now what I'm getting at is I wear these glasses, which are, you might say, these are my computer glasses. These they got the right focal length with my computer screen. Then I put the magnifier unit over top of these glasses. And I have, just like you just did there a while back, where you put the magnifier unit in there. And that unit, I think mine is a 1.5. And I flip them down and work through your glasses, through the magnification unit. Then you can see the larvae floating in that royal jelly. And then you look at it, and like you say, it might be a comma. And I always try to come in, if it's come in the back way on the back of the C or the back of the comma.
Right.
And I go down the side at the edge of the cell wall with the tongue of that grafting tool, and then underneath, and I hit the other wall, and it's on that blade or that tongue or whatever. And then I lay that thing down flat inside my JZBZ cup, and I start bringing it up to where the tip is almost vertical, and I'm pushing the button all the same time. You're kind of like this, like a pin with your button finger here, and you're bringing it up, and it should slide right off. Sometimes it's a little sticky. Sometimes that you have a problem with it.
I think I knocked down about 10 cells off of that one frame they were on today.
You mean talking about
in that when I went in there to not make sure they didn't have any cells, right? So now
queen cells.
Yeah. So
did you shake the bees off of every frame?
No, but I will go
you
back.
Go in there, you can't never find all the cells. You shake all the bees off. Then you look at that frame, because they'll put a cell in there that you can't see, because they'll cover it up and hide it from you.
All right. Well, I'll do that tomorrow, and then I'll go close them back up, and then I'll go select my grafting frame, and hopefully that'll be long enough for them.
You inspect every frame, take and shake
I
every
did go
bee
through
off.
them. I just didn't shake them off.
Shake them all the way off and kill all the cells. And then they'll repopulate, and then, bring your grafting, take that one frame out of there, and then do your grafting, and then slide your grafting frame in. Don't bump it and all that.
That'll be my biggest thing, is not bumping it.
Well, it's not that. Yeah. You don't want to bump the hot. You don't want to.
Well,
you get that used to where you pick the darn inner cover off to knock the bees off. Well, you just blew it right there.
Well, this right here, the cutting out of, that's a swarm cell that he's cutting off of there, first off. And he's using wooden frames, and I'm using some wooden and some plastic. So,
well, I mean, if you got a nice cell there on the bottom and you can cut it out, I'd cut it out and use it. Don't just destroy it.
Hold on one second. My wife's complaining about the Wi-Fi, her Wi-Fi. Yeah, swarm cells do work great, but not in a starter finisher. So, I mean,
what's that now? Where's the starter?
About, swarm cells working great. Yeah, I mean, I've cut them off as well, but I'm trying to do where I can control the number of cells that I get and what I get. So it's a little bit, not to say I won't use those, and I will if I get swarm
if
cells.
They're just small ones. Just I tried to do that where I was. You get busy, and it's like, okay, you got to go in here and you got to get this done. So you go in there and you destroy the cells. And now, if it's a nice big fat one sticking out there on the side, yeah, I'd take and cut that thing out and put them in a jar.
Well, the main thing is, if I can graft queens, and I'm knocking down queen cells in colonies that are swarmy, then I'm in control of my apiary, right? So let's say you get busy, Charlie, and you can't get in there, and you don't know, or you had a swarm cell that you're like, I'm just going to leave it and I'll get it next time or whatever, and you can't get back to it. Well, now you're kind of at the mercy of what of what they decide to do, right? So you're a little bit more in control, I think, if you're knocking cells down
Yeah.
and doing that.
Well, I mean, are we talking about in the cell builder? Or are we talking about in other hives?
Well, they're talking about other hives. We're specific.
In other hives, then harvest them in the cell builder. Shake all the bees off. Terminate those cells. Put your cell bar in there, and let that hive get back to business.
Amir says he's got 5 cells for me. I can pick up tomorrow or Monday. So that's the thing.
Who is Amir? Is he the guy at Hive Life?
No, Amir's a local guy here with me. So he's just across town from me. And he's the guy that was down in Florida that picked up those boxes for me and brought them back.
He obviously grafts too.
Yep, he grafts. He runs Michael Palmer brood boxes, or the brood.
Yeah, but why aren't you need to hook up with him and get some experience?
We're working together.
Yeah, I know that, but get with him when he's grafting so he can show you, and maybe compare what you do.
He's in Bob's club. What club?
It's like I had a young guy here that I was teaching, and he's 20 years old. He didn't. I said, "Here's my magnification." I don't need that. Like, really? Right. You can see them? Yeah. And he got 100% take, where I didn't. Oh, well.
Yeah, and I'll agree with that too, but they generally do things for reasons, right? So either they're making a swarm cell because they want to swarm, or they're making a super procedure cell because they want to replace that queen. So
yeah, I mean, DC, yes, I agree with you there. As far as if you want to use swarm cells, but we're trying to graft and make 30 cells at a clip. We're trying to productionize it here.
What club or what?
What's that?
My wife always has something going on. She said, check my Google account. It says it's been signed out, but it hasn't been because I'm still on. So I don't know what she's talking about.
So,
but yeah, I'm the same way. So, yeah, I'll definitely utilize queen cells. That's how I've made it to this point. I've used the queen cells that are available to me, up until this point. But last year, the end goal is to requeen my colonies without buying queens and without them generating swarm cells to want to swarm off, right? And be able to make nukes to resell and or sell queens that I'm not paying for ahead of time to then resell. So,
the bottom, if you want to stop swarming, you equalize the hives throughout the summer. And you start making
bees. We'll make bees be bees. Yep. That's the whole idea of the starter finisher, crowding them so they get that instinct, and they're queenless, right? So
yeah,
did I miss something? I missed something in the chat. Did I say something that took everybody down a rabbit hole or something?
I don't know. Something about a club. Local clubs are great for networking, finding customers, hearing local experiences. Yeah, that's true.
I could meet someone like Charlie and learn all about single brood.
But the thing of it is like, Brian, it's And I can't really talk about that too much in my club because most of them are beginners and stuff like that, or they're 2-year-old beekeepers, maybe 3-year-old, or if they are somewhat of experience, they're not interested in that. There's different levels of beekeeping, and then
And different interest levels too.
that's what I'm talking about, the interest levels, where all I want is 4 hives. And I said, well, you should have 4 nukes. Back it up. Well, we don't want to take care of that many. That kind of a thing, that attitude. Right. I mean, I'm looking at, I want to be able to have insurance so I don't lose any of my hives. And then my level is where, okay, I want my bees to be able to pay for all their expenses and maybe make me a little bit of money, and I can go to Hive Life. Right. That pays for Hive Life. And that's where I'm at.
To make queens is to buy them from me, Mark says.
Yeah, I sell
queens. Not for nothing. So I got a report from a guy that bought cutic nukes last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm worried about this cutic thing because the queens that we bought didn't seem to do that good. I mean, all of my colonies that had cutic queens in it this year are not doing that good. And compared to my ones that I, made with splits and stuff, and the nukes that he wonder why instead of trying, why could you not let your bees make their own cell? How many queens you need? Well, last year I sold 100 queens in my yard. So I don't know how many I need. I am not, and we had this discussion in the VIP room, right? I'm not splitting based on the amount of queens that I have. I'm splitting based on the amount of bee power that I have to make the splits. So, so
you're making bees to sell. You're trying to make money here. That's the issue, Michael. It's like if you got 20 queens and if you get them mated at $40 a pop,
that's $800.
That's $800 in your pocket. That's what it boils down to. And that pays for that $600 worth of mite treatments that you got to buy. So like I bought $140 some worth or $30 some worth of Formic Pro at Hive Life, and I bought another $23 worth of pollen patties. And last year my mite bill was $400, and that was a 30% off because of my club subsidizing me and everybody else in my club.
And I got
it was a $600
worth of nukes coming in, and I bought $5,000 worth of extraction equipment last year. Right. Actually, more than that, right? And I just bought $300 worth of honey bottles and $400 worth of pro nukes. And let's go down the list of expenses, shall we? I just bought $300 worth of feed for my bees. So
I average over the years, I'm averaging $4,000 every year in expenses.
Yep. Oh yeah.
And if I didn't have my mite treatment that was subsidized, what I bought last year, it would have cost me $600 just in mite treatments. I spent $1,000 in sugar. I bought 1,500 pounds of sugar. Because when you got 30 plus hives, you got expenses. It's just like the people who buy Hive Alive, the fondant, $6 for a pound of fondant. And I'm like, no. I says, 6 times 30, that's $1,800. It's like, no, I can't afford that. That's way overpriced.
30 is $180.
Well, $180. I mean,
but if you got to buy 60 of them, then it's $1,800.
A pound of fondant won't last 2 weeks if you're feeding. I've been feeding my nukes.
Oh, I write it off
every week for the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah. So, I mean,
It's at a different level. That's what it amounts to. You're at a different
It's a
level.
different goal.
Right.
Different goal. Some people, like Brian Coper just wants to, up until this point, he just wants to be the backyard beekeeper, 10, 11 colonies. That's it. Right.
Well, not now. Now it's 20.
Now it's 20. So it has expanded a little bit, but leave more honey and feed. It doesn't work that way. It might work that way where you're at because you guys have a more steady cold. So I leave the honey on. I don't pull the honey off until a lot of my honey doesn't, like I just got 70 pounds off yesterday, right?
Well, let's talk about Beeonomics when it comes to honey. $10 a pound for honey, 50 to 60 cents a pound for sugar.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me take the honey and make $10 and I'll buy the sugar at 50 to 60 cents a pound. It's probably around 60 some cents right now. So it, yes, I got to make it and all that, but it's like, it's like Brian at Flower Street Honey. He goes out, he goes to flea markets. He sells his honey at the flea market. He has it set up as a business. And, there's a goal there. He's trying to make some sideline money and all that stuff. So,
well, my thing more is about having my bees pay for my bees. And until this point,
yeah, you're paying for your expenses.
I've been about break even, but every time you expand, there's more expense you put out that you have to recoup, right? So I did not recoup the amount of money I put out last year for my extraction.
It's just like any other business. It takes you 5 years to get on top on average. And that's about where it took me. I kept pouring the money into it, but I kept making more income to pay for my expenses. Did I break even? No, but I'll say, let's say by the third or fourth year, I might have started to break even and I started making a little bit of profit.
Well, until this point, until Hive Life, I didn't go in the red for anything, right? I didn't use any credit for anything. Hive Life was the first thing I used on credit. Everything up until that point had been from honey money or queen sales or nuke sales or something like that, So, so yeah, hey guys, we're not debating. There's tons of ways to do all this stuff, and whatever's best for you, by all means, do that. We're not telling you not to do anything. Do whatever you want. They're your bees. You got to replace them. You got to.
It's just like Brian's comment there. He wants to be a full-time beekeeper. Yes. And they're still growing. All right. That's his goal.
That's my goal as well.
It's just like Carl was on there. He wanted to go from 30 to 60 or 80 highs. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't have the help. If I had kids to help me do that, or my wife or whatever, and those extra set of hands, maybe. And there was a common goal amongst us as a family to grow a business.
Well, Brian just said he spent $800 on labels.
Yeah. I got my label, my warning label, and I got another label on top that says local honey. And, that's all, input cost.
So, yeah.
And then you got your bottles. I buy a couple cases at a time, and then it's like buying frames. I'll spend $800-900 in frames. I mean, frame cases will last me probably a couple years, but I buy enough of them at a time to get a price break and shipping and stuff.
Well, so what makes a good queen? That's a great question, right? So you ask 10 different beekeepers, they'll give you 50 different answers probably. For me,
you can make 10 queens. Like, all right, you're grafting 10 queens. And let's say they all come back mated. So now you got 10 queens and they're mated. Well, they all might be good queens and lay out a great pattern. Or maybe half of them might lay a great pattern. The other half are like, okay, nothing great. it's a crapshoot. That's what it amounts to.
Yeah.
It's a big old wide gamble. It's like, oh, it's like a cow farmer. He might have a pedigree, he might have a cow that's just extra good, and he'll make a lot of milk out of it or whatever, or sell it for a really high price because it's extra good. But that might be once in a lifetime, or I know one guy's passed away and he had the horse. Oh, it's been about 5 years for the Triple Crown.
Right.
He is right up here next to me. That horse was valued for probably $1 million and some dollars. And they sold it right before the third race of the Triple Crown because it ran the Kentucky Derby and the Maryland race here, and it was headed for New York for the Triple Crown or whatever it was. They sold it, and he said, "I didn't get all that money." He said, "I had investors."
Right.
And they had to take that money. They all said, "Yes, let's sell it while the getting's good." And they got $1 million and some dollars, and they, of course, divided that amongst 25 people or something of that nature.
Yeah, you see, Mark, what Mark said, that's I think that's accurate. That speaks to what Charlie just said too. Good queens is from picking the best over and over and over again.
Yeah. It's
I just bought 642 bottles that was sitting in my driveway when I came home. 1 pounders.
Well, like Mark says there, it just, and that's the same repetitive statement that Cayman Reynolds says. How did he have nice queens when you show his frames? Because he kept picking the grafting from the best queens that he had, and then he got another set of queens out there, and now let's say he got 20 queens and he had 10 out of the 20 that were extra good. Then he would only graft from those 10. And you just keep doing that year after year after year, and you keep
replacing your weakest stock.
And then you keep getting a better line of queen through genetics and your natural selection and everything. Yeah, you can go out here and artificial insemination and all that. And that only works for about a year or two, because then they go out and mate with whoever, unless you artificial inseminate. That's the only way you can do that with a bee. It isn't like you going out here and buying a bull that you paid $100,000 for because it's exceptional, or you buy the sperm from the sour power and coming out and inseminating your cattle and all that. And then you also have to, it's like cattle. They got it down really good where they buy purebred. If you want really good milk cows, you buy purebred Holstein cattle. You want a beef cow, you want purebred Angus for beef raising and all that stuff. And that's how it works in the cattle industry. In the bee industry, it's the same principles, but not too many people do.
That's what I'm doing. So yeah, I just saw it. Let me see if I can share that in a second. So that's what I'm doing. I have 3 stronger than the rest. So that's my starting point, right? Those are the 3 I'm grafting from. If I get some back, then we'll keep it going. The main thing, yeah, I mean, and that's it. It's just working with the best you have. If it gets to the point that I'm competent at grafting and I get it down where I can get good at it, then maybe we get a breeder queen or something. But I'm not to that point, guys.
Yeah.
You got to know where you're at. You know what I mean?
You got to really, you got to be somebody like Mark there that has really got some experience behind him to be able to drop some money in for a breeder queen. I just want to say hey to Greg. Let's see. Yep, Greg from Rock Ridge. I watched your little short video. Nice looking queen you had there on the end of that frame.
So I'm gonna pull up a picture here that let me see. This is what old Paul at Hale Hives was doing today. Is that gonna show? Yes, it is. Okay. He put his
That looks cool.
the Bee Hacienda. And that's another thing I would like to do.
Now, did Paul make that, or did Ricky?
No, Ricky made it, but I think he might. I think he put the Bee Hacienda on him, possibly, or maybe he didn't.
Maybe he didn't.
I don't know. He'll probably tell us. Yeah, that's my thing right now. Is that I feel like I've got a bunch of losers right now. So I spent a ton of money last year on queens, right? And if I can graft, then I'm not spending that money. But
when you learn how to graft and make your own queens, it's your whole mindset is completely changed, because queen rearing is the key to self-sustainability. It is the absolute key. If you can make your own queens and you get kind of good at it, and you got 20 mating boxes over there with queens that are laying in there after they come back from their mating flight, and you got a dog of a queen over here in this hive, it's like, okay, she's done. She's out of there. All right. You might take her, like Brad said, and make a resource. If she's still laying fairly decent, you make a resource queen out of her. You know, you might use her for making brood or something like that for a while. And then you put that new girl in there, and she's young. She's brand new and fresh. She won't swarm on you as much, and she'll lay up a storm.
Well, the other thing is
you get that mentality, like we ain't putting up with this because I got queens waiting in the wings.
Well, I was at the bee store today, and the guy that's running the bee store, we were taught, I bought the frame. I saw his grafting tomorrow.
Oh, so you went up there to your competitor?
Yeah.
Up to competitor.
And he said, well, let me know when you got some, because I need one for this cutout colony I just did. And that's the thing with what I'm trying to do here. If somebody needs a queen and I've got mating nukes out there that have queens in them, then it makes it real easy. If she's been laying in there, I could just go cage her up. Here's your queen. Thanks for the $40. And even if I don't graft anything in there, her eggs, those bees in that colony will now, it's like a walk-away split. Right? I just took the queen out. Boom. They're going to start making queen cells. From Chapin, I don't know who's in Chapin, but there's a place in Manning. But to be honest with you, I was not impressed with those queens last year. Blythewood they do good business, but they've got some issues there. I think they're getting some of the issues straightened out, so that's a good thing. Sell him a wintered queen, gives you brood frames. Do what? I missed something. On his battery, yep, that's it. You just got to have the resources, and I did not have the battery really over this last year. I was doing too much.
I started out with 20 nukes, and I had some of them in mediums because that's I run in those 10 framers right behind me there, and I needed 2 or 3. I think I needed 3 or maybe 4. I wound up taking 4 of my own nukes for insurance purposes because I had queen issues in the fall. And now I got,
hey, thanks, Larry. I appreciate that. Hopefully you catch something soon. Or maybe you've caught something already. We don't know. Let me see. When Queen's not putting out, time to go. Look in the whole business, in the whole houses.
All right. Yeah. But like I say, your attitude changes when you got 20 queens.
The way it did
maybe.
last year when I had those queens that I had surpluses of queens all the time. I'd go out there, oh, she ain't no good, or she's gone, no problem. Introduce a new queen, you know.
It makes a world of difference.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you know what? I'm curious about Greg Burns's queens. I did get one of them that was in his pocket, so it didn't last very long. But but I've never seen him do a queen grafting video. Does he actually graft his own queens or make his own queens, or is he getting those from somewhere else and then reselling them?
Like Florida
or Georgia? I don't know. I mean, I have never seen him do a grafting video. So,
I mean, he did state that he did get the second, or I won't say runts or whatever it was from Bob Benny. Bob was going to get rid of the queens, and he was putting fresh girls in, and he bought them for probably a little bit of nothing. If he paid for anything for them.
Okay, so
he got the genetics.
That's it. So you get the genetics. If you're breeding off of those genetics, good job. If you're selling those queens, then not a good job, because those are used. I mean, when I say used queens, it's the same thing that we're talking about with overwintered nukes and old nukes, right? If you're getting an overwintered nuke, but the queen has been laying for a season already, then she's already used a percentage of her
usability,
right? So that's one of those things that's interesting. But I don't know if he grafts or not. I'm just
like DC said, secondhand queens.
Maybe getting somewhere
else.
Well,
he was getting his Bob Benny, and Bob Benny was raised. Those were raised by Chris Warner and all that. But like I say, but now you got to remember something. When that queen goes out to get mated, she doesn't get the same genetics because he's not mating with the same set of, drones out there.
Not necessarily. Overwintered queen is not necessarily a proven queen. I mean, it made it through a winter somewhere.
Well, now if it's overwinter queen and it was made in, let's say,
okay, June, so
let's say after the June 21st, it was made in June. She's at the latter part of, she's a new queen going into the winter. All right, so that's what you call an overwintered queen. If she was mated and she was a new queen, the beginning of your bee season, let's say for me would be April, then she's not overwinter queen. She's a year-old queen, because the year-old is the season, that bee season. That's my take of it.
Bob, overwinter nukes should be post-Celsius if done right.
It's the winter solstice.
Okay.
I'm trying to get that word, or trying to pronounce that word.
The winter solstice, yeah.
That's right. June 21st. If overwintered queen is in the latter part of the season, where at the June 21st, she's slowing down because the daylight hours are getting shorter and shorter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I get it, DC. But I'm saying if you're getting let's say you're buying a nuke and it's coming from Southern California, and you're buying an overwintered nuke. Well, it was overwintered in Southern California, right? So you get it, you run it for a full year, and then for your season, right? Let's say you get it in April if you were here, and you ran it all season, but it didn't make it through winter. Technically, it was overwintered, but it wasn't overwintered in your winter, right? So now, if you made a split off of yours with a nuke and a queen, well, then yeah, it'd be overwintered here. if Fat B Man is, I think his son is taking that over.
Yeah.
I'm
Fat B Man is really old. He's about 80 years old, I think, right now. And you don't see him on the internet anymore.
No, you don't see him on the internet anymore.
He's not. He used to have those chats, and that's all kind of went away. And he had videos when I first started out, and they haven't had a video since the last 10 years, I don't think. Once in a while.
And it's just going to be a good year. I'm going to try new stuff, and hopefully everybody's trying something new, because I think that'll expand everybody and what they can do.
Hey, Mike.
No, the Skinny Bee Man is Joe May.
He's out in Indiana. He's right in the middle. I looked him up on Google, and he lives right in the middle of the city. It seems like there's a part. If you look at some of his videos, there's apartment houses right behind him.
I pull a nuke off of them in the spring and start again. Hey, Mike. Yeah, so I mean that's the.
And the Skinny Bee Man, Joe, I don't know his health. He had some health issues here the last year or two.
And his wife.
And I don't. Well, his wife passed away, and I'm not sure just how active he is right now.
Michael said, "You really need to change up it for nothing else but genetics." Yeah. So last year I introduced Carniolans into my colony, into my apiary. I had Italians to begin with, and then I had the Cutics, which I guess are Italian Carney mix hybrid something. And so, yeah, that's kind of been the plan, is that I do introduce, well, this year it's going to be a bunch, but a couple of nukes or a couple different new lines into the yard to try to, keep the genetics a little bit.
The biggest thing is for you, you're going to try and build on new skills.
Yes.
And
Hone
you're going to hone your skills. You're going to try to become a queen rearer.
Yeah.
And hopefully you'll become self-sustainable through that. Learn to let your bees grow and get plenty big and strong, and expand your apiary and grow some wax for your expansion, and hopefully harvest some honey.
Yep.
On top
Hopefully.
of all that. It's a lot of work, but
hopefully, and I don't know if Sarwood's still on here. Hopefully those nukes get up here relatively early, that I'm not getting them in the middle of, the end of my honey flow or something.
So Grammy or Lisa, she's editing a grafting video. All right, cool.
She grafted yesterday. Bob's going to be a bee pimp. That's right. I'll try to. Well, see, my niche market is not the way I see it. My niche market currently is not the guy that's going to sell Blythewood Bee Company 200 nukes, right? My niche market is the guys who don't get on that list with Blythewood Bee Company, right? And need queens and nukes after everybody else. Oh, my queen.
I already got an email today looking for a nuke, and the guy's in one of our classes, and I said, no, I don't, I got a 4 nuke, grace area there, if I need one. But once they know that you're going to grab, you have queens for sale. And once they know that you got nukes for sale, they're going to be banging on your door. Believe me.
Already had people that bought queens last year, or you got nukes this year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm committed to I think 5 or 6 nukes right now. And those are going to be Florida bees. I mean, they're the ones coming up from Florida. So my job is to grow them up when they get here.
Or turn around and sell them and make a few bucks.
Yep, and that's the other.
Let them grow them up.
Well, I'm getting 3-frame nukes, and I'm gonna at least have to get them to 5-frame, right? That's why I got all these pro nukes sitting over here.
Mm.
And just trying to do a little bit in a lot of different areas at the moment. And if I can grow, if I can double, great. Yep. So that's what I did. Florida already has queens. Yes, I know. Florida has queens. Florida has bees. But we're trying something. Yep, that's what I use for my videos, the Vinci Resolve.
I tried that and could never figure it out. That was one of the hardest darn programs. It was not user friendly as far as I was concerned.
Oh, I had to watch YouTube videos on it too.
I got to go ahead and I got the heck do I use? Forget now. But anyway, it's what Mike Berry.
I really need an acre or two of farmland out in the country that even if I could slowly over the years put a steel building up or something like that and work from. But guys, this year has been more than just beekeeping with me. I mean, as far as the actual bee aspect, right? So this year, the swarm lure, this year, the Apis, the website. So there's been a lot of expansion in using that bee money to build the bee empire, if you will, to do a little bit. Yes, I did. It was in my video. See, I realized you didn't watch my video now. So the tote, they will do totes, and it's $2 a gallon. So, all right, Amir, I'll get with you. I've got to figure out where I will put said cells. But yeah, so that's been the whole thing. But I don't feel like, and this goes back to, I just don't feel like my bees are where they need to be. And I could be totally wrong. They might just totally explode, the ones that I've got.
Yeah, but it sounds like to me your weather hasn't really settled yet.
No, I mean, we're getting these long stretches of warm, and then boom. When I need to be out there on the weekend, it's rainy and cool. Right?
Yeah, but it sounds like to me that, does your weather settle, let's say, by the end of March?
Oh yeah, by the end of March. Matter of fact, all the nuke sales typically happen here in the first week or two of April. That's when everybody.
Yeah, well, that's where it is around here too, for the most part. But what I'm getting at is yeah, you're getting a lot higher temperatures during the day than what we are. I mean, we're getting that 70-degree once. We've only had it one time. So with you're getting in the 70s regularly, but your nighttime temperatures can fluctuate pretty good. And then you'll get some rogue cold day. Yeah. And then, but all that kind of smooths out. Let's say about the 15th of March for you.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere's in that neighborhood.
Yep.
So there's a note to take. You need to, start, your splits or whatever, you're looking at.
Well, right now, what I'm trying to do is basically keep my existing strong colonies from swarming. That's the goal, for those not to get too packed. Let me see, Charlie. I'm learning to use shortcut on our links box. Thank the Lord.
What's shortcut?
It's another editing video. or editing software, I think.
All right, I've got Filmora. What is it? What do I have?
Filmora.
Yeah, but what's it called? Wondershare. It's Filmora 11, and
Right.
it's made by Wondershare, and I think it was $100 when I got it. But it is so much more. It's so much easier. I mean, yes, I did watch some. I was trying to choose one. When I went to Hive Life 2 years ago, I talked to Mike Berry, I talked to Brian, I talked to everybody, and I talked about equipment. And then I also, what do you use for your editing software? And Filmora, I think, is beginner level. It's easy to use. The thing I couldn't never figure out with DaVinci is that, all right, how do you put in the transitions and stuff? Well, it's like with mine, you just drag it down and plop it in and it's done,
Same thing.
and all that kind of stuff. And
Just import the file, then I drag it down, and then drag down the next one, and the next one, and the next one.
yeah, well, maybe I just didn't understand it. And I will have to say, with the Filmora, like if you put your cursor on it, it'll put a plus sign or something over here to the right. You can drag it down, or you just click the plus and it puts it automatically on the timeline. And then if you have, I picked, let's say 5 different transitions I usually use. Well, then you click it. They never say it in the instructions. I don't know why these instructors don't really, they assume too much. Is there's a heart there, and you click on the heart. Well, that's your favorite. It's one
Right.
that you like. And it'll go up into your favorites area, of your transitions and stuff. And that way you don't have to search for them every time.
Yeah, I can't.
That's right, Mark. Equalize is the name of the game. That means bringing the brood out. If you got 6 frames of cat brood, you pull 3 of those frames out and put 3 frames of open comb in there, and you won't have any swarms. And that, and then put it in some weaker hives or make splits with it. If you got the queens again, that's the problem. The queens are the key to everything.
But then it's like making splits too light.
Well, that's where the Demery is going to. I mean, for me, I don't get into my hives to do the equalization until about the end of March. So I'm going to use this Demery method where instead of me trying to figure out where to put that brood frame, because I might have a bunch of hives that don't need any because they're all strong. Well, then I'm going to put that secondary brood box up on top of my hive, and I'm going to let them hatch out up there, but she's going to have plenty of room to lay in the
now,
box.
would you just seed that frame, pull one frame up, and use foundation to let them start drawing that out?
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking on doing. I'm going to bring it up there with bees in there. And probably it'll be a brood frame. It'll be single brood, queen excluder, honey excluder.
Honey excluder.
Yeah. Single brood, queen excluder, honey super with drawn wax. And then I'll put a brood box on top of that, and I'll put that brood frame in there. You're good. Now you're open.
Let's see. I got one of those random guys.
I'm going to make a video on it. I mean, a lot of people don't know about Demery because it was invented in 1865. Can't hear you, Carl. Talk. Are you muted? You're not muted. I know you ain't.
But had another random guy just click the link to come in, so I kicked him out of the back of the studio.
What do you mean?
You remember how we had that random guy that showed his bunghole on here one night? Another random guy showed up in the thing. I just kicked him out of the thing, out of the studio. So, yeah, so that's the same thing. It's, we're all going to make mistakes. And
Pretty Andy Lee says.
Pretty Andy.
I don't get that. That just don't make sense to me.
Here we are, no life beekeepers chatting on a on a Saturday night, and and we got guys that have less of a life than us to come in a beekeeping chat to do crazy stuff.
Mm.
Funny, but the it's all learning. My thing is what I want to do, and what I haven't been able to do, is I want to move all of that brood down and get all my bees into that bottom box, right, to one box. And I can't do it because there's always brood in that top box, the medium. Even when I've shaken them down and excluded them to the bottom, the bees are still spread out all over the place. So I'm waiting.
That's fine. Just let it hatch out.
Letting it hatch out so I can keep them all down there.
Yeah, but you're telling me that you got cat brood upstairs, or you got open larvae, right?
Yeah, cat brood.
Cat brood, all cat brood. Well, that's the idea of the demery.
Yeah,
is that.
But I want to move them down so she can work that. She's not really working the whole box down there. You get it fixed? No,
I think so.
Well,
yeah, now you're sounding good.
Yeah, I had it all screwed up before, so you were talking about put all the bees in the lower box and that. I have a question for Charlie. I've been working towards going to a single brood chamber thing.
That's what I do,
and I understand that. And the reason I wanted to get into that is because every winter, it seems like I have nothing in the bottom boxes once it comes to December.
Well, you won't.
So
because they all go upstairs where the heat's at, and they migrate where the food is at. They're always going to be upstairs.
Yep.
Now, let me ask you this: does Frank, Frank at Man Lake?
I've talked to him.
Yeah. Okay.
I've talked to him a handful of times about it and he's been trying to perfect it around here. And I'm really.
I know because I watched him on a Georgia thing that Bob Benny showed of him, and I'm listening to him, and I'm like, that ain't going to work the way I know what you're doing. You got the same concept as Ian and all the rest of them, where you're taking that split off the top.
Yep.
And you come late March, early April. I'll say, I put it to you this way. When the maples, now there's some maples blooming right now, but when it gets in earnest, like right here, it's 32 degrees and miserable out there right now today. I froze my butt off.
Yeah, we had 20s today.
Oh, it was wet, that wet air, and it snowed here a little bit.
Yep.
It's like, okay, yeah, the maples opened up on this one tree, but not all the trees open up because there's a silver maple and a swamp maple. There's a couple of different types. But anyway, come late March, that's when the maples really pop. You'll never see the nectar source. There's a little bit of nectar. That's where, all right, now you're running deeps, I presume, right?
Yes.
All right, I'm running mediums. So I run 3 mediums through the winter.
Okay.
The bees are up in top. The third medium on the bottom board, there's empty. It might have some bees down there, but it's empty of food and brood, like 9 times out of 10.
See, that's a mistake I made this year. I had the deep brood chamber, but I left the honey super on. So when they moved up, now she's laying that medium up. So if I get queen cells or something in the medium, all I can do is split to a medium box, which is where I don't want them to be, right? Or smash the queen cell. So,
no, I don't know. She's up in the top, but there's nothing down in the bottom as far as brood, or is there some brood down there?
No, I have no brood in the bottom. Nothing.
No, I'm talking about Bob, and you're deep in a medium situation. Is she down in the bottom?
I moved her down and then put an excluder on and put the medium back on top of it.
Right, and then they hatch out.
And the other option is
that's exactly what Frank. What's his last name? I forget now. It don't matter.
Yeah.
All right. He said the same thing. He said they put brood in that medium up there. He pushes everybody down in the bottom. Don't worry about finding her. If you do find her, then shake her off nicely. But get everybody back in the bottom where there's some brood, put the queen excluder on, put the medium box on. Over time, they're going to take and she's going to hatch out all that brood up there because they're going to go up there and work it. And in the meantime, they're going to fill the honey up there because she's going to lay all the bottom up solid with eggs, hopefully.
That's what I'm noticing as that brood chamber, the medium is starting to hatch out. They're starting to backfill it with nectar.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what you want. And then down in the bottom, you're going to find that all them 10 frames are going to be full of brood and food. A little bit of food up in the corners, a little bit of pollen up in the corners, and everything else is solid eggs, larvae, cat brood. And, that's the beginnings of single brood chamber management right there. Now, you can do it that way, Carl, I think. What I do is I like it all the same size boxes. So I pull that bottom box out. I drop those 2 mediums down. That's where they're all at in there. I go through them 2 boxes. I make sure there's a honey frame on every wall on each, on the outer ends on both boxes. So I got 4 honey frames. Gives them insulation, and it also gives them food and all that. And let me get this.
Got the text.
Yeah, I've been working at it. I've literally been working at it a little bit, and I'm experimenting. I mean, I'm trying to perfect what I'm going at. And
so in your situation, all right, they're going to be up in the top box, and the bottom box is going to be completely empty, right?
Pretty much. I mean, I had 55 degrees on Wednesday, and I shot home early just to get a peek, and I did pick up when I was at the show in January down there at the Hive Life. I picked up some of the Hive Alive patty, because it was $70 a case. So I thought 20 hives, pick up 2 cases, play with it. And I am impressed with it so far, because usually when I get a winter, I'll get a month or so where those bees can't get out. Oh, yeah. And over the last 3 seasons, I would be looking at those hives and the top exits and that, and seeing that crap on the outside of the hive. You can see it. Where
you mean as far as them
dysentery and that.
Dysentery.
Yep, yeah, and fortunately this year's been a little warmer, so I haven't seen it, but I like the idea of having that in there to try and help with that and stuff like that. So it's worked out this year, but this year wasn't a good year for me to tell if it worked or not. So we'll see though. But most of them are in that top box. That lower box is nothing more. I cracked 1 or 2 in half and peeked in. I don't like to open them too much right now.
No, you never know. It's too early for you, and it's like the hives right behind me. Yep. I opened up the top telly cover. I looked in. Yeah, we got bees, and I checked the frames. How much? I had 6 to 8 frames of honey. Okay, close it back up. I'm done. That was been 2 weeks ago or more, and. And in the center frames out of a 10 framer, I did have some open comb and maybe a little bit of honey on the outer ends. And they're going up the chimney, as they call it.
Yes. Yep.
And then they're going to spread out and eat out here. But I fill them, I take them and I pour the syrup to them until they will not eat anymore. And the syrup just sits there for a day or 2, and it takes them, they just can't eat anymore. And that's when I said, okay, they have enough. And
you say you poured a syrup to them like this time of year. What do you just pour?
Not now. No, I'm talking fall. I'm talking the week after Labor Day. I better have them hives behind me better be done fed by the 15th of October. Because you don't know what's going to happen by the 15th of October. Now, the year before that, it was warm all the way up through December. And I was like, man, I fed them too early. But no, they didn't. They didn't eat as much as you think they would.
Well, I actually, it's a weird year because up here in Northeast Pennsylvania, usually this time of year, it's 20 degrees during the day.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been seeing mid 50s on a regular occasion. I actually took a a bee box and put it out there and put a couple of handfuls of pollen in there. Well, let me tell you something. On Wednesday, when I came home, it looked like an eruption. There was thousands of bees getting that pollen, and I'm looking at the forecast. I'm still in the 50s. We have some 1 or 2 nights that are in the 20s, but a lot of them are in the upper 30s, which is amazing for this area. But I've been giving them some pollen in that, and I actually went out there on Wednesday and I put on those global patties from the Hive Alive. I put on a half a patty on every
global patties. Okay.
Yeah, the with the rocket fuel or whatever.
Uh-huh.
I put on a half a patty. Yep. Yeah, I see the Apis. Yep.
He's
I put
a dealer,
on. Yep. And I actually I even put out this week. I put a 5-gallon pail, and I'm open feeding. I've never thought I'd be doing that in February here. I got to try and take advantage if I can. Well, you got an assortment of it there, obviously.
I'm the distributor for the East Coast and the Gulf Coast.
Well, at least I know if I need some, I'll give you a call. So
you got his website and you got it.
Yeah. I mean,
the thing with what you're doing there, I'm not sure about liquid feeding right at this time. I'll say, like you say, the fondant. I'm going to use, I bought 10 pounds of the global patties myself. I'm going to use those in my cell builder. And I'm interested with the Apis Biologic and the 15% real pollen. I think I'll really make some jelly in my cells better. I do have some pollen patties on mine, which I was trying to get rid of some of Man Lake's crap, that Better Bee stuff or whatever
the
it's called.
Bee?
Yeah,
Ultra Bee.
I messed with that. I wasn't
that's the only thing I've used is Ultra Bee.
I've used it. I've got powder here, Ultra Bee powder. I've got Ultra Bee. I don't have any more Ultra Bee patties, and I will never buy another box. The problem of it is 3 weeks ago, I was watching natural pollen coming in. So them girls are not going to use those pollen patties. So I do have some natural stuff coming in. The maples are starting to pop a little bit. So it comes in early to where I don't really need to do the pollen part of it, I don't think. And then you have to watch yourself. You're going to push them like that. They're going to be on a swarm mode situation if you don't watch yourself.
And I'm watching I'm going to watch it. And the only reason I'm doing it is because I'm looking at the 20-day outlook, and we're staying in that 40s to 50s, and they're out flying. They are out flying. I mean, I come home and there's bees on the porch and this and that, and I'm seeing them. So I'm like, you know what? They're out there burning those nutrients, which means that they're burning themselves out. Those winter.
Well,
bees,
they need sugar water for that. They need energy when they're flying. They don't need.
Well, that's why I put out the 5-gallon pail with the open feeder. Because they're burning it, and this week there was 2 days that was 50s, almost 60, and the one day they took that 5-gallon pail down almost 4 inches.
Yeah.
And
that don't surprise me at all.
No,
that's like some people talk about their sugar water. Oh, they're worried about it getting turning on them. And I'm like, why?
Not this time of year.
Well, not so much this time of year, but like in the fall. Some people say, I can put 3 quarts. That licensed feeder that he's got on his nuke up there will hold 3 quarts. That's gone in 6 hours. Totally gone. 4 to 6 hours.
I've put out 10 gallons in my open feeder, and it's been gone in an afternoon.
Yeah. It's just
I'm
gone.
also using the Pro Suite. So, I'm actually
using
the Pro Suite.
Straight Pro Suite?
I'm buying it by the 55-gallon drum because, like Man Lake is 15-20 minutes from my place. So
I got a tote of Pro Suite here, and I use it. It's great when it comes to feeding those 2 framers because they can't smell that stuff. You won't get any robin with it, very little. And right behind
I never realized that.
Oh yeah, right where that there truck body thing is behind me, off to the opposite direction of that camper. I got racks over there for I can put 20 to 30. Yeah,
It was at one time.
At
It
one
was
time,
at
it
one
was,
time.
baby.
See them nukes way in the back there.
Yeah.
Now it's a
All
cutout
right.
waiting to happen.
Well, anyway,
No,
back
that looks like a trailer that you're going to be putting boxes on to go.
my
and
brother
service
bought
another
that piece
bee
of
yard.
junk up here. I don't know why. I told him not to bring that piece of junk up here. But anyway, where them other 2 nukes are, that's where I put my mating boxes. Now, it shouldn't be in the same yard because the 10 frames are right 30 feet in front of them. But you put that Pro Suite on there, and you can put it on a little pint jar is what I do on mine. They will not. You put a pint jar of sugar water on there, that nuke is dead because they'll rob it out in a heartbeat. You put the Pro Suite on there, they won't even notice it. Now, of course, I cover that jar up with a little box thing I made.
Yeah, you cover. Yeah, so it's hidden. Yeah.
So they can't smell it. And I use that exclusively on them nukes. I don't have.
Yeah, well, I took the Pro Suite and I actually took a 5-gallon pail and I filled it up because I have it in my warehouse. I actually flipped down the 55-gallon drum and I filled it about halfway. Then I topped it off with hot water and I mixed it up and I put some Apis biologic in there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's the first time I'm trying that. And
ask Charlie about it
immediately.
Charlie used it in the fall. I talked him into it. He's like,
I had at least three frames of brood in the fall, October, and it was sort of warm, but in October. And I have a friend of mine, and he contacted me this past week, and I questioned him again. I said, "You did tell me that they only had basically a frame of brood at best in each one of your hives." And he said, "Yeah." So, and he lives in an area that's where there's a lot more nectar than I have. It's only 20 some miles up the road. And I say the Apis biologic, definitely it's a booster. I got to go. I don't think I'll be back. I got to go right now.
Well, we've been on for 2 hours and 41 minutes already, so it's about time anyway. But yeah, I made the pollen patty I made yesterday. I made it with Ian Stepler's recipe, I guess, with the coconut oil and the flaxseed oil.
Yeah, I think I watched that video. Yeah,
syrup and the Apis. So
all right, I'm signing out. Carl, I'll talk to you later.
Charlie, thank you.
That means his woman messaged him.
Huh?
His woman messaged him.
Email or a call and I'll talk to you.
Yeah. Let's see. Can you can send me an email, maybe? Let's see. Go to Sawmill Charlie.
Well, wait a minute. You do emails because I heard you talking about your technology point before.
What's that?
Do you have email or what?
Yeah,
because I heard you talk about your technology point before. And
I was maybe on something else. I'm not sure. I got email. Just go to
that AOL, if that tells you how old his email account
is. That's when I came back, I saw the chat and he was talking about some of the.
Go to email me your phone number, sawmillcharlie@gmail.com.
Gmail.com. Okay, I'll pull it back up on the video and that.
I mean, I'll email my phone if you want to call me and we can talk, whatever.
All right, sounds good, man.
All right, I'll catch you later. I gotta go.
All right,
see you, Bob. I'll see you.
All right.
Are you gonna go live tomorrow?
I don't know.
All right, we'll see how we feel.
Seems like he's going live a lot lately. So.
No, I would go live all the time. This has been for the last year. We've been going live almost every night.
Yeah, a lot of times I go live on Sunday evenings, but I don't need the hours much anymore. So sometimes I just get, like last week, both of us were just burned out.
We're like, we're gonna take the night off. I don't know. I want half of me. I've got that 70 pounds of honey. I want to try my new bottler.
Well, I got one for you. I picked up.
I'll see you.
See you, Charles. So I got one for you, Bob. I picked up last year. A gentleman out of Philadelphia had I think it was an 8-frame Maxent extractor and 40 bee boxes or honey supers for sale, and I picked it up for the price was unbelievable. I had to just go get it. Just, you know, so I went and I picked it up and everything. I got the boxes and everything else, and 40 supers with the frames in it alone, you know, is worth what I paid for it. And then I got the Maxent extractor on top of it, which I didn't need, but I picked it all up and everything else. Well, I went to pick it up. He had 2 full supers of honey.
Nice.
And he had it all cellophane. And he had wax moth crystals in it or something.
Right.
All wrapped up. All right, whatever. Well, the thing is, I bought it all for the boxes and the frames and that, which the frames he was doing all natural, so he already had got rid of all the wax and everything else. So I replaced it all with new what do you call it?
Foundation.
New foundation and that, and everything else, and started using it immediately. But the 2 boxes of honey, they're, you know, one box is 70% full and the other one's 100% full. So I have probably 100 pounds of honey or 80 pounds of honey. It's like 10 years old. What would you do with it?
I would warm that bad boy up and I'd spin it. It's good. It'll be good. As long as
I've been curious about it.
It'll be good.
I was almost tempted to feed it to the bees.
You can do that too.
But I was thinking, you know, I don't know how this guy handled his bees at the time and everything else. And being it's 10 years old, I was kind of curious of what I would do with it, you know?
Make meat out of it.
There's, you know what, I didn't think of that, but that's a very good idea. Here's the one that's supposed to be in bed.
That's your grafter.
That's my grafter. And see how quick she ducked under the counter?
She's like, I'm on TV. Let me get out of here.
She's supposed to be in bed. Yep.
So what kind of extractor do you have now?
I'll let you show. Hold on one second. What?
I want a sleepy pill.
Okay, I'll get you a gummy in a second. When I was out at Hive Life, I actually bought a 12-frame extractor from
John at Hilco.
John at Hilco, yeah, at Hilco. In fact, it's still in the box downstairs. I haven't pulled it out or anything. I had an 8-frame extractor, and then I picked up that Maxent one.
Right.
And I'm at the point now where it was just too hard to process honey.
Right.
So I was looking at that 18, and I was like, you know what? It's time. The price was right.
So you got the 18. Did you buy it, or you haven't bought it yet?
I bought it.
Okay.
I bought it out the show, and I haven't, like I said, I didn't even open the box yet. It's downstairs.
No need yet. No need to open it yet, right? It's not time.
No, that's the thing is I have no reason to open it, and I'm gonna have the 18. But I also bought a package where I have a Maxent chain extractor.
Right.
Out of another guy in Jersey, I bought a Maxent chain extractor, a 26-gallon Maxent heated tank. I bought a clarifier.
See, that's my next thing. I want to get a clarifier. How do you like that? Have you used it?
I haven't used it yet. I have to repair it. I also bought a 70-frame tank for when you uncap them and set them in there.
Well, you got a big setup then.
Yeah, I bought that. Now listen, I bought all this stuff plus I don't know how many frame it is. I bought a Maxent extractor. I think it's an 80-frame extractor, all for $1,500.
An 80 frame?
I think it's an 80 frame.
Commercial job?
It's on a full size pallet, and it takes up the whole pallet. I have it out in my warehouse on the top shelf. I'm nowhere near needing that. It has to be completely rebuilt. Now the chain extractor, I actually contacted Maxent. I bought all new chains for it and completely remodeled it. It cost me about $600. So I bought all this stuff for $1,500, and I paid another $600 for the chains.
Right.
and I rebuilt the extractor or the chain
And
extractor.
Mark's like, do you want to sell it? Mark Miller, do you want to sell it?
I'm sure I could sell it and make a lot of money just off that alone, the on-capper itself, you know?
This year I was my first year. I got a 30 frame license.
Hold on. Give me 1 second, Bob.
Yep. And
Good night, babe. Okay, we're done with that.
so this was my first year. I just got that licensed 30 frame extractor. I've got
Okay.
a steam
I looked at that.
I've got a steam uncapper with the tabletop knives on it. I got that.
Yeah, I was almost bought that too.
And now my biggest bottleneck is after I've extracted the honey, separating the wax from the honey. That's the biggest slowdown. So now it's like I want a clarifier, but I don't know, because most of the clarifiers sit on the ground, which means then you got to have a pump to pump it back out. So a lot of people are saying settling tanks, but I'll tell you what, I bought one of those 5-gallon bucket screens, the plastic screens that go in a 5-gallon bucket. And I use that. And the thing is that it's slow. Even with that, even after I've scooped most of the wax off of it, it's such a fine mesh that it takes a long time for the wax to go through.
Yeah, and I've run into that myself. I run usually 2 or 3 5-gallon pails when I do process. And
Mark said cash money and he'll come and get it.
I'm sorry?
Mark said cash money and he'll come and get it.
Yeah, sure. Listen, the reason it took me a year to find that, and I got lucky when I found it, and I completely redid the thing, and it looks like brand new, especially with the new chains and everything, but I still have to adjust it so it's not taking so much of the on-cappings off. It takes the on-cappings, but it's taking too much of the wax off. And I finally found out after doing all this that they now have a rack that you can get a better adjustment to adjust it. So that's the only thing I got to do, and that's 100%. Those darn things are like $4,000 alone.
Oh yeah.
You know, and my wife, and it was down to my wife because she's great. She goes out in the bee yard. She worked the bees with me and everything else. But I do not have. Listen, I'm a 300-pound plus guy. I do not have hands to sit there with a little picking tool to pick them and this and that. And she was doing all that, and it was taking her hours to clean up the frames. So I had to do it for her. She's happy wife, happy life. You know what they say.
Right. That's true.
That's why I did it. So, you know, and I'm lucky to have the help that I have, you know.
Flower Sheet says I could run extracting services in my area and have beekeepers bring their boxes to extract them out. I could extract them pretty quick. I mean, I can do 3 boxes at a time, right? So,
well, that's pretty nice.
So it definitely, when I went, I had an 8-framer first, and it didn't take me very long at all to figure out that when I didn't have an uncapping tank and all that stuff, that man, it takes way too long to uncap 8 frames, put them in there, spin it, keep them around, spin them again, type of deal, you know. And it was it just took too long, and I couldn't uncap while I was waiting on it to spin because I had nowhere to put the uncapped frames without them dripping. So I could only do what was in the extractor. So it took a crazy amount of time to do it.
Well, that's where I got lucky with this whole package. I mean, it turned out that what happened was the guy I bought this from was out of New Jersey, and his father, who had passed away, I think 18 years ago, he told me, which is this past spring.
Right.
He had 250 hives. down around the Delaware Water Gap on the Jersey side, and he passed away. And he had no interest in that. It's been in storage all this time, and that one tank I have alone, I'm not joking. You could fit 70 frames in, and it's all pitched and everything. So you run it through the thing to uncap it, and you set it in there, and as quick as you could process them, I mean, literally, you can uncap 2 sides with this machine in 7 seconds.
Right.
So
awesome.
you need the room to place them. We were uncapping so fast, and we had a 8-frame spinner. So you're waiting and waiting and waiting. That's why when I saw that 18 frame, I was like, it's time to jump on that. I'm not ready for a 60 or 70 frame.
Well, the question is why do they do them? That's kind of an odd number. If boxes are 8 or 10, that's either 16 or 20 frames. So why an 18 frame extractor, or why a 8 frame extractor, right? I mean, if you're running
actually, you know what? I run 10 frames. And the one thing that I learned when I was going to start with this machine, and I knew I was after it this year, I'm actually running 9 frames in my supers.
Right. So you can
run 9 and 9, 18. So,
well, you think that it's kind of like the hot dogs and buns, right? So, like, why do they put 12 buns in a pack, but only
everybody wants to make that extra sale, I guess.
Yeah, 4 extra buns that you're going to throw in the trash. You know.
So listen, it's almost 11:30, and
yes,
you've been going for a while. I look now, and it's 2 hours and 56 minutes.
Oh yeah.
So I want to let you go.
All right, cool.
And here's the other thing is I want to throw something out to you.
All right.
I mean, I'm growing and I'm trying to develop. I don't know if I want to make this into a business or not.
Right.
But I got a couple questions to throw out to you. It's just some thought for future. Maybe it's future conversation between us.
All right.
Number one is, if you're changing this into a business, number one is, what do you think about liability? Number 2 is, what do you think about precautions? Number 3 is, what do you think about sales of nukes and stuff like that? You know what I'm saying? So if you were a guy, because this is a growing industry, you were at Hive Alive.
Right.
I was there. I'm sorry I didn't get to meet you. I mean, but obviously, you know, we'll meet in person sometime in the future. But you know what I'm thinking is, I think there's a lot of guys in my position, and you're a guy that's already a step or 2 in front of me, obviously. You know, what do you do for insurance and stuff like that? You know what I'm saying?
Like for health insurance?
No, not health insurance. No, what do you do for like liability insurance and stuff like that? Selling your honey for selling nukes or something like that? Is, you know, somebody come back after you and stuff? I'm just saying it's a conversation that could be had in the future.
Yeah, that is something to think about. I've never. Yeah, see, Brian said he'll get on that. Hey, let's do it Tuesday night. Are you free Tuesday night? We do our live stream.
I should be. Tuesday nights are pretty free for me.
Okay, so 8 p.m. Eastern. It'll either, Lee, is it on my channel or your channel this week? Because Lee and I do one on Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, and it's usually 2 hours, 8 to 10. And
that would work.
And we okay, it's on Lee. So Lee just dropped the link there if you're not subscribed to Lee's channel, so you get the notification.
I'm not, but I actually I listen, I'm still learning with all this link stuff and that. So, you know.
Oh, well, it's Kodiak Farm Bees.
I got you. Okay.
And just sub to his channel. And we'll be on his. We alternate weeks. We were doing it to both channels at the same time. But what we found is half the people would be in my chat and half the people would be in his chat. And we could see them in the feed, but they couldn't, the people watching couldn't see each other. So
I got you.
We decided to alternate it. And
maybe I'll touch base with you over the next day or two to situate it.
Yeah, that sounds good. And then we'll have Brian from Flower Street said he would like to get in on that conversation. We all have that, I call it Beekenomics, right? Beekenomics. So,
but honestly, it is. It's. I mean, I'm into my 5th year here, and I'll be honest with you. people say it's a dying industry, but I don't think it is. I think it's a growing industry.
I think it is as well.
And I think there's a lot of people out there who would have some questions that I have, and you've been around a little more than I have, and
you've actually been beekeeping longer than I have.
Yeah,
you've been beekeeping longer than I have, but when I started it with the idea I wanted to keep bees. That was the first thing, right? But then it very quickly became, well, how do I grow this into a business? Because I'm getting older. I don't want to work forever. And what can I do to make my bees pay for my expansion and stuff like that? So
yeah, so it's cost effective in that. Yeah.
Yep. So I've sold queens. I call it flipped queens. I flipped queens because I didn't raise those queens. I bought them, banked them, and resold them at a profit. Right. So
Good for you, man.
So did a little bit of that. I sold a few nukes, right? So I made a few nukes last year. I think I sold 10 nukes, sold 100 queens easy, and expanded my apiary. So this year, I'm trying to dial that back to where I'm not buying queens to resell. I'm making queens to sell.
Yeah.
So now instead of paying $28 to sell for $40,
so you're going to 100%.
Yes, I'm increasing my
90%. You might as well say,
yeah. So just working on that, and through my honey sales, I'm not in any markets. I'm not in any stores. I got a sign in my front yard that says local honey. If the weather's nice on the weekend and I've got nothing going on, I'll throw a few cases of honey on the back of my truck, back my truck up to the sign and pop the tailgate down and make a Facebook post, and people drive in my yard and buy honey. And
well, it's working.
So, yep, little bit, flip it, finding ways to save money, like buying the sugar from Domino, right?
Well, sounds good. I'll touch base with you and we'll get together on that.
All right, sounds great, man. You can you can email me. It's rwalker2016, or if you go to my header on my YouTube channel,
yeah,
there's a link there that it takes you to my website with the APIS and everything, but you can also send a message through there and I'll get an email.
All right.
And then I can send you my email and everything, just so you don't have to write it down and all that stuff. I'll drop the link in the chat. So,
all right, Bob, sounds good. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, Carl, we'll see you later. Thanks.
All right, good night.
Yep, Michael, they will do the totes. It is $2 a gallon. So whatever your tote size is, multiply that times 2, and that's what they'll charge you to fill it up. So if it's 100 gallons, it's $200. So there's a bunch of stuff. So anyway, guys, Tuesday night on Lee's channel, just gonna tighten this up. It's 11:30 here, 11:27. Sorry. We've been going 3 hours and 2 minutes. I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for everything you guys do with supporting the channel and watching the streams and buying products from the website. It helps things go around here. So, so definitely appreciate you guys. And we'll see you Tuesday night. Thanks, guys. Good night.